And now, an on-air sports marketing presentation. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B, now on ESPN 620, 98.7 FM HD2, and streaming live at arizonasports.com. The guys are powered by the law offices of Lerner and Rowe. In a wreck and need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. And now on your ESPN station in Phoenix, ESPN 620, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
All right, you made it to draft day 2025. Welcome in, Roc and Manuch. Jimmy B out here at Twin Peaks in Glendale. It's just across the street from State Farm Stadium, where the Cardinals will have their draft. As right now, they are 16. That could change very easily. This is probably in the 20-plus years I have been doing sports radio, Manuch, with you. This is the least anticipated draft that I ever recall.
You know, it's pretty much.
This is the weakest draft I think
in
there's
a long
ever
time.
been.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm taking the over/under with hugs with the commissioner at under 7.
You know, you think about it's one of those drafts where defensive linemen and edge rushers are kind of the talk of the town. Running backs, and then you look at the receiving core, quarterbacks probably not as profound as they've been the last couple of years. You got your
close
4 to 5 quarterbacks, and that's about it. And
really,
then
maybe 2.
Yeah, I don't know,
because everybody talks about the first round.
Yeah,
right. It's how many first round quarterbacks are going to go.
Yeah,
maybe 2,
3 at the most. I think. Yeah, at the most. I find it so much of the chatter that's going on like yesterday and today about teams moving up or moving down. The latest is, that Shedeur Sanders didn't have a very good conversation with Giants head coach Brian Dable, or that the Giants are now looking to trade down. Getting a lot of calls for that number 2, the number 3 pick. There's a lot of that going on. And that thing about the conversation with Shedeur being reported and Brian Dable didn't go good, it's almost as if they're putting out there to justify taking Abdul Carter versus Shedeur Sanders with that 3rd pick. I mean, some of the games within the games,
always.
It cracks me up to see that and go, okay, now you're trying to say the conversation with the head coach and Shedeur wasn't a very good one, so we can't take him because of personality. So we're going to be forced to take Abdul Carter. I just read so much into this stuff. You've seen it for so many years that you're going, okay, whatever.
The thing that I liked yesterday was Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. We're working on 2 substantial deals. 2 substantial deals. Yeah, sure you are. Yeah, and I'm going to be 6 feet tall by tomorrow.
And I think that a lot of guys put that out there to see if anybody bites.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the bait out there to bite? But for the Arizona Cardinals, I think I prefer them to take an offensive lineman, the best offensive guard.
Yep.
The guard at that spot.
Absolutely.
And then after that, you only got 6 picks this year. I'm like, don't get caught up, folks, Cardinals, in trading down to get more picks. Just take who's ever the best lineman, offensive guard is, take him. And then worry about everything else after it falls in place.
I don't know. I know you gotta draft the player that fits your team, the position you're trying to fill. But if I have the 1st round pick, I'm taking Travis Hunter. I don't care what I need.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty damn good pick.
I mean,
he's a stud.
I don't know how you avoid. You go Cam Ward. I mean, nothing against Cam Ward. He may be a decent quarterback.
Yeah.
He's not that flashy number 1 overall pick, but either was Tim Couch. I think he's the next Tim Couch. He's probably not going to be around long. I hope I'm wrong.
Well,
I'm wrong.
I think when the Titans look at that, they go, how much better is Cam Ward than Will Levis? And if he's over and above, they're going, well, we need to take him because the guy we got now, we can't trust.
They don't think they can win with.
Versus taking Travis Ward, he can do both if he wants, but I think what they're looking for now is down the road. Travis Hunter. I'm sorry. Yeah. Travis Hunter down the road in reference to longevity, and I think they probably feel Ward's the best fit.
Let me ask you this. Who could help the Titans today win more games? Travis Hunter or Cam Ward?
Yeah, I think Travis Hunter would be the guy.
That's the way I would look at this.
I mean, I'm like you, Rock. I'm like, who's the most impactful guy?
It's unbelievable.
That can help us right now. And Travis Hunter would be that guy. Now,
same with the Giants, or I'm sorry, Cleveland. Cleveland and New York. I mean, You got to take him at number 2.
I think Cleveland does take him.
I think they
number
will.
2. I think they do.
But I think he will be such a big fish in a little pond in Cleveland.
Oh, and he'll produce immediately.
Oh, he will.
He'll produce immediately.
Yep.
And I think that Abdul Carter is going to be the guy at number 3 for the Giants. No matter how much they try to whitewash it, impactful on the defensive side. He can come in. You can plug him in right side, left side, and he'll be very impactful.
So 15 players are set to attend today's draft, down from 17 that were announced last week. Last year, they had 13 that attended the draft in Detroit. That's the lowest amount in the last decade. Jackson Dart is the most notable dropout from last week. And then Shedeur Sanders was never going to commit.
Right.
He never committed to attending. It seems like the draft is all about Shedeur Sanders and how far he will drop. It seems like that has been the narrative on every talk show. It's to the point where I'm tired of it and let him fall to 22,
I don't
24,
I don't understand.
or whatever it may be.
I don't understand if these guys are getting reports from scouts and from coaches and people that have vetted him, worked him out, talked to him. If that's coming back to the press and them putting this out there, I'm like, what? So what are the issues? Okay, if you want to say that the conversation with Brian Dable wasn't very good, okay, if that's true, that's one thing. But what are some of the other things? Kid's got the talent, he's got the arm, he's got the ability, he's got the smarts. He took a team that was downtrodden the last 2 years and brought him back to prominence. What's the issue? Is it you don't like the arrogance? I call it confidence. Is it confidence? Is it more than that? Because even his dad, Deion Sanders, came out and said, I don't understand, guys, where this is all coming from.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, all the people I talk to, and he talks to everybody.
Oh, he does.
He says they like him. He's got the ability. He's a quarterback. I think the one thing that might be hesitant, again, is that maybe a lot of guys don't feel he's a day one ready quarterback in the NFL.
Here's what I tell people.
First game ready.
Think about 2 big name players who dropped in the draft and had sensational careers. First one, Dan Marino.
Sure.
Dropped like a rock, and then Miami got him, and we know what happened. Second one, of course, is Aaron Rodgers, who sat in the green room until Green Bay took him at like 22 or 23.
Yes.
So, I mean, I would say if he drops, so what?
I'm the same way.
So what?
I'm like, if these guys want to be spot on with the top 5, and Sanders doesn't fit those teams that are drafting
exactly.
the top 5 or the top 10, so be it. Because you pick that quarterback, these teams are going, okay, if we pick this guy, this first round or the top 10, we're being assured that kid can pretty much come in and play day one. Mm-hmm. So if they're not sure he can play day one, but they like him, then he'll drop. Otherwise, I don't get why they are, because he's more than talented enough to play in the National Football League.
So the 2020 census has Green Bay's population just over 107,000 people. They are expecting 250,000 people. A typical game day does just over 80,000 people there at Lambeau Field. Last year, the attendance in Detroit was 775,000.
Unbelievable.
It's already a tough place to park if you go to Lambeau Field. You park in people's backyards. It's just different. If you haven't been there, you got to put it on the bucket list. It's truly one of the coolest places to watch a football game. It is the NFL's smallest market. But they are expecting 250,000 people here over the 3 days. I mean, I don't know where you stay. You got to go stay in Appleton. You got to drive from wherever. I mean, you're Milwaukee. There's just not a lot of places to stay. And, here we are, just a few hours from it all getting underway. And it should be a lot of fun, but they are going to put about 2,000 fans that can sit in these sections. They can watch the ceremony just below the seats. So that's going to help with the event. I'm just kind of curious how this is going to go.
How it's going to work.
Unfortunately, they're expecting some light showers.
Yeah.
What is it? Damper. Temperatures are in the 50s.
Not bad for Green
Low
Bay.
60s.
Yeah.
But it is April.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be better over the weekend, mid-50s. That's probably what you expect when you go to, Wisconsin. But it's still April. I mean, it's not winter yet. Winter's over, isn't it?
One of our fine partners at Wright Toyota, he's a Green Bay Packer fan. He's going. They were hoping to park, but they just happened. happened is Buddy
has
a cousin that lives close to the stadium.
Oh, man.
So they'll stay there. They were going to get like an Airbnb or hotel. Forget it. So they're going to stay there. Somebody might sleep on the couch and just take Uber to the house and just walk over to the stadium.
Think they have Uber in Green Bay? All right, our State 48 Roofing It's Your Call question of the day. We have 2 of them today. I decided to step up and do some prep for you.
Yeah, I saw that.
Best ever 6th-round pick or higher not named Tom Brady. Antonio Brown, who was drafted in the 6th round. Terrell Davis, also 6th round. Mark Schlereth, 10th round. And Brock Purdy, the last pick in 2022. That's one of our questions, which you can find at Roc and Manuch on Twitter, X. Second one is, how many trades do you predict in this first round of the NFL draft in Green Bay? 0, 1 to 3, 4 to 5, or 6 or more. So go ahead and vote. Coming up, it is our replay rewind, top sounds of the night. A lot of it's D-backs and Corbin Carroll, and unfortunately they fell in 11. They'll be back at it tonight, but we'll get into some of that. And we have some time, hockey playoffs. Roc and Manuch, Jimmy B, just getting started here at Twin Peaks in Glendale.
Fifth Ave in Glendale, Twin Peaks, the ultimate sports lodge and home of the 29-degree beer. Here's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
No one does happy hour like Twin Peaks. Whatever your preference is, they have it all. Tequila cocktails, extensive bourbon, top shelf spirits, cocktails served with the ice balls. They got local craft beers, handcrafted whiskey cocktails that rounds out their drink menu, which is second to none. And don't forget, as you just heard the big voice guy, their 29-degree draft. Happy hour starts at 3 o'clock. They also do the reverse happy hour at 10. All right, let's get to our replay rewind. And this is where we give you some of the sounds of the night, and I throw in whatever I want. And we'll get to it right now. Our replay rewind, we'll start with the D-backs. They fell in extra innings, but Corbin Carroll continues to have an early MVP-type season. He's currently 16 for 47, 4 doubles and 4 home runs just over the last 10 games. And through 24 games, that's the whole season, he's got 9 home runs. He's got 22 RBI, which is basically an RBI per game. He's walked 10 times. He's stole 4 bases, but he struck out a lot. He has struck out 26 times in those 24 games. But hit a couple dingers yesterday. Here's the first one, the solo shot, which put them up 1-0 in the first.
High drive, deep right field, into the desert sky it goes. It's gone. And baseball's best leadoff hitter with another strike. It's his 8th home run of the season. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks.
And then he follows up in the bottom of the 7th a little bit later. It got the score to 5-4 D-backs. Here's the 2-run shot.
1-1. Swung on, that ball's drilled. Deep center field. Back is Simpson. Turning, looking. It is gone. It's off the top of the center field wall. A moonshot for Carroll, and the D-backs lead it 5-4.
There is no stopping this kid. I mean, he is just on fire. What a swing that was.
Yeah, you watch him, it just the velocity, the ball coming off the bat, but the extra power this year. And, it's just his focus, wherever it is, whatever he did to strengthen his wrists and body, whatever, and just, more selective, even though he struck out. But look at his on-base percentage. Look at his slugging percentage, dang near 700 on-base percentage. Look at he was it's almost 5-something. And just the power. So you just wonder where he generated that extra power in this offseason. Very curious to see what they say, how he got stronger, or maybe it's pitch selection.
I believe that we will most likely never see another Ricky Henderson, who was the greatest leadoff hitter ever in Major League Baseball. But Corbin Carroll is on a trajectory, at least I believe, to put up some really good numbers being in that leadoff spot. And it would be fun if indeed he had some sort of season that was relatively close to what Ricky would do.
Another guy that's having a pretty good season, that's Pavin Smith. He did an interview with SiriusXM, Major League Baseball Network, and here he is talking about what he did this offseason. He's got 23 hits in 23 games. He's batting .326 with 4 dingers.
I think this offseason was the first time I wasn't trying to sort of figure things out, which was nice. I was able to just, sort of build off what I was doing last year and having it's hard to play baseball when you're searching for things because you switch stuff up every at bat and it doesn't necessarily work out very often. So being able to just focus on and just build off of what I was doing last year, having the right feels and really, locking in on that.
Pavin Smith, again, he's off to a great start as well. I want to thank Arizona Sports for the Carroll calls there, and that was just SiriusXM MLB Network. Tonight they'll go at it again. One of the key moments last night, I thought they were going to win that game. I really did. Ryan Thompson, I want to give him a lot of credit. He gets in there in the 8th inning. The bases are loaded with no outs. He ends up striking out the pinch hitter and then the guy after, and then this Diaz flies out, and they get out of that inning. I thought that was going to be the defining moment for that particular game because that doesn't happen very often. They could have gotten really out of hand, especially top of the 8th. Here he is, bases loaded, no outs, and you got to give the D-backs a lot of credit because that doesn't happen very often at all, where you're striking out a couple and a fly out. So, good stuff there. All right, tonight Corbin Burns will be on the mound. He's 0-1, 4.64. He needs to step it up. I expect this is going to be his game. This is his come out.
Well, his
I put a lot of money on him today.
That's why you believe
I put him. I got more than 6 strikeouts. I got him going more than 6 innings. I have 7 bets.
Wow,
with Corbin Burns.
It's about time,
buddy. If you're driving to the park right now, you better have your A game because you are not putting up the numbers. You are a guy that's supposed to be averaging under a 3 ERA, and you're in that 4.64. So let's get your you-know-what in order and start, you may not be able – we may have to cut off this direct deposit.
Hey, help
you are not earning. You're not earning your keep right now.
I think the one thing, watching Martinez last night, 12 pitches, 3 up, 3 down. I guess the shoulder fatigue is over.
I guess it's over. Yeah,
nice to see him. Have one of those good innings. How they can build on that. In the case with Pavin Smith, I really feel that now that he's playing on a regular basis, whether it be first base or DH. I think we're really starting to see the more at bats, the more comfortable, the more productive he is, as opposed to the last couple of years when he'd be utility, he'd be down in AAA, he'd be up. They'd mix him in the lineup. He'd play 2 or 3 weeks, then he'd go back down. I think we're just starting to see the talent of this young man when he plays on a regular basis. And you look at his slugging percentage, he's up there in the league at 733 with the batting average of 383. So he's dang near 390 with his BA. And I think those are some of the things that he's getting a chance to play. And I think that Torey Lovullo can see that in this kid. And I love the back and forth with him and Naylor going back and forth with DH and first base. So I think that his day in and day out prowess is starting to pay off for this Diamondbacks ball club.
So I don't want to promote gambling, but I'm going to. The best bets right now, and I won like 3 out of 4 in the last day.
Okay.
Is NHL hockey playoffs. Take the 1.5. Mm-hmm. These games are all going overtime. Like this one last night, Dallas over Colorado.
Can't take the puck away. Now does. Skates to stick away from Drouin. Played ahead to Marchment. Marchment drives to the net. He holds, finds a cutter. Marchment sets up Seguin.
Seguin breaks the hearts of the Avs fans last night as they went 2-1 thanks to ESPN. All right, some college football for you. The best story going into this upcoming season is probably going to be Bill Belichick at University of North Carolina. It's probably going to be what we're going to talk about quite a bit. Bill O'Brien, who spent some time in the NFL as well, also coached with Bill Belichick. He recently was on SiriusXM College Sports Radio, and, of course, he's the head coach at BC. Here he is when asked if he could give any or would give any advice to Bill Belichick.
I don't think Bill needs any advice whatsoever. I mean, no, I did not. I stay in touch with Bill. I have a lot of respect for Bill. I'll see him at the ACC meetings, but I mean, I'm not going to be the one that gives Bill any advice. He's I think he's in great shape. The one thing too, Danny, about that, he is, even when I worked for him for several years, he studies the college game. So in the draft, especially, right, he watches all that draft tape.
3 minutes.
Evolution of the college game. Is one of his closest friends is Nick Saban. I'm sure he's talked to him a lot about, college football. But, look, I think at the end of the day, like I said, he's a ball coach, and he'll adapt to what the differences are in this game relative to the pro game.
Bill O'Brien talking about Bill Belichick. Yes. We're looking forward to that.
I don't think that he would have taken that job unless he did thorough vetting with, as he said, Nick Saban and a lot of the other college coaches. I think for Bill Belichick is just understanding today's college athlete. Obviously you got the NIL, so he's got Lombardi as general manager. He took care of that. I think Bill's the kind of guy that puts people in place he can trust. His son, defensive coordinator, his offensive, all the guys he knows. And then as far as that, it's football, but to a point. And I think strategically he wants to make sure that he keeps these guys he recruits. I think that'll be the frustrating factor for Bill is here today, gone tomorrow. So hopefully this NIL deal, this suit gets all settled and they can move on and he got some kind of peace with
2
that.
minutes.
Our Replay Rewind is brought to you by Lerner Row, and the Lerner Row gives back 12th annual golf tournament, which is tomorrow at McCormick Ranch. This tournament has raised over $1 million each of the last 2 years. It's always been in that 700, 800, 900 range, but the last 2 years it's hit $1 million. Hopefully they will hit it again this year. Some special shout-outs to some of the major sponsors: Collision Chiropractic, Pro Performance, Stamp Medical, and ChiroFit, and Collision Experts. If you want to donate, you can head to LernerRowGivesBack.com. Should be a good one tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna miss you guys.
No, you're not.
Because I'm out next Friday too.
Wow.
Got the big Fiesta Bowl boys in town. So
you are just fake news.
You never work on Friday. Who you kidding?
Well, I'm not going to deny that.
I mean, it's not like you've never offered, hey, Rock, I'll fill in for you.
I have.
Right?
I have offered.
No, you have.
Yes, I have. 2 years ago, I offered.
All right, 2 years ago.
I did.
Only once?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Manuch says, don't even show up. I don't want you. I don't want you touching anything. Jax and I got this.
We're giving reps. Yeah, giving reps to Jack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We know you got those golf games tied up on Friday, Jim. God forbid we tie you up on Friday afternoon.
Rock's playing golf. I'm playing.
So let me ask you, when you go to the golf course, you put the bag over your shoulder and ride your bike, right?
I only live like less than a half a mile from the
Do you
course.
ride your bike?
I have, yes.
Yeah, with your golf clubs?
Yes.
Okay.
I just assume Jimmy's got that big tricycle looking thing with the big
three-wheeler.
basket in front of it and just puts his bag in that big basket. I can't see him with the over the shoulder riding the bike.
Do you still use Persimmon woods?
Oh, I miss the persimmons. Those are great woods.
Man, you do.
I don't think so.
Just because of your height, do you get the kids use set?
Hey, listen, I can still buy clothes at the JP Penney's boys department.
You still have your ping eye threes?
I just got pinks. All right, we're going to catch up with sports professor Rick Coro, talk about the NFL draft in Green Bay. It's estimated to generate $100 million. Also, the judge delays the House settlement over roster limits. So we'll talk to him about that as well. But here's Jax. He's been waiting for your Twin Peaks ESPN 620 update.
It's now time for your Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B's Twin Peaks ESPN 620 update. I'm Jackson Groff. The 2025 NFL Draft kicks off tonight. 5 p.m. local time, and the Arizona Cardinals hold the 16th overall pick, the same spot where they selected linebacker Zaven Collins back in 2021. This year, the Arizona Cardinals look to address needs at the offensive line, defensive line, edge rusher, or wide receiver position. Draft experts have different predictions. Daniel Jeremiah says wide receiver Mecca Ikuka. Peter Schrager mocks defensive back Jahdae Barron. Charles Davis sees offensive tackle Josh Simmons, which makes tonight must-listen radio, which you can catch all tonight's NFL Draft first-round coverage on 98.7 FM and ArizonaSports.com. NFL Draft, NBA, and NHL playoffs all here at Twin Peaks, the best place for all things hoops and puck. Get your favorite location for all the playoff action. Twin Peaks, 5 locations: Glendale, Scottsdale, Tempe, Deer Valley, and Phoenix. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views.
Join
Yes or no?
That's it. That's call it.
It's Thursday, and welcome to Lodge Mentality. The guys are live at Twin Peaks Glendale, located at 95th Ave in Glendale. Twin Peaks, the ultimate sports lodge and home of the 29-degree beer. Here's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
So ESPN and the NFL Network, they're dealing with something unique regarding tonight's NFL draft. All 32 teams still own their first-round pick. That means every team's fan base is going to be watching. This is the first time since 2014 that this is the case. Now, there could be some last-minute trades, but this is massive when you are an executive for either ESPN or the NFL Network, because you're getting all 32 teams, their fan base is tuning in. So, like I said, they haven't done it in 11 years.
That's amazing.
It's that you got that prized possession in your hand.
That's it.
What do I do with it? Do I get the best available, the biggest need? Because, you know, when it's your point, Rock, 11 years, it's rare because most things have been happened by now. Tennessee's already said they're going to pick Cam Ward, so that's a given. But on top of that, from there on out, you know, a lot of the phones may have been ringing the last 3 or 4 days. It's very rare a last-second deal will be made because it's pretty much done beforehand.
I think there's a lot they could do to get it better, though. I wish they had all 32 teams and we could watch every war room at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
You could split your screen up.
Yeah.
You could go on DirecTV or whatever you have, YouTube TV, and you could basically, you know, like you watch sports now, you're watching 4, 5, 6 games at a time, but you have the possibility to check out each war room.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be kick ass.
That'd be fun. That'd be so
because they do it once in a while, but you don't. Yeah. You see a little of it. It's still the same draft every year.
Right.
It's talking heads.
Yep.
It's highlights and it's mock drafts.
Mm-hmm.
They need to kind of. It's a one-way broadcast, I would call it. Right. It's just that's all it is. Change it.
I love when they watch it. I love when they do the documentary of after, and they'll show the war rooms during that.
And that's always fun.
Yeah. Rock. It's too close to the best, man.
And I hate the fact that. I hate the fact that we get to see the pick before it goes on television.
Yeah,
that's on Twitter.
Control that.
Yeah.
I mean,
just don't go on Twitter.
What? How can you not? Philadelphia Eagles are picking right now at whatever number. All right.
Dialed into everything.
Who are they going with?
Yeah. Well, then don't say anything until you actually hand it to the commissioner. You know, at that point,
those guys get that before that.
Well, I know that because
they do.
The phone call's made, and all of a sudden that phone call's made. You got people putting it out there all over the place.
Sure.
You know, if you're not in the green room and you're at home, and all of a sudden it's, oh, hey, how you doing, Mr. Jones? Oh, Dallas Cowboys got our guy. Or it's almost impossible to keep that under wraps.
I think this year's draft will be the lowest draft when it comes to viewers ever.
Why do you say
not
that?
ever? Just, in the last 5 years.
Because the talent level is not what it could be?
Last year it averaged about 12 million viewers.
Yeah.
The best ever was in 2021, and it did 12.5 million.
Okay.
I bet it does 11.
I think because it's
but
quite the star power.
What I don't understand anymore, when they put this stuff together, when they combine these broadcasts to get this average, right? I wish we could see the numbers that are watching online, the numbers that are streaming, and they put it all together that way, because I think it's being misled, and you're only seeing those cable and satellite numbers, right?
Yeah. I'd like to see who's watching in the sports bars, like what it's like here at Twin Peaks.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
every city should have a camera of that local bar.
Yeah,
that's supports that local team, and they should do live shots. Now, the local guys, 3, 5, 10, 12, and 15, they'll be out and about. I'm sure we'll see Fooey running around, and hopefully they'll come over here. It's just I think it's we're all going to watch. I really don't care. I'm not actually going to watch tonight. I have a Fiesta Bowl event, but I don't care.
But you're going to be dialed in on your phone.
No, I really won't.
You will be checking.
No, I won't.
Come on, Rock.
Dude, I'm not like
I know you.
I don't. No, you don't.
I know you. You're dialed in.
You are somebody that every 5 minutes you say, "Hey, Rock, did you see this?" And what do I say? No.
He's got this new iPhone.
I don't care as much as you. I am not that consumed by Instagram and Twitter on breaking news. Me and Manuch have been the same way.
Yeah.
I'd rather get reported and then get out right in a timely manner. It doesn't need to be the first one.
I agree with that.
Some guys have made a great business, great livelihood being, breaking news, this and that.
Wojo ruined it for everybody because he would tweet on X the NBA picks like 10 minutes before they'd be announced.
I think you're right. I think the only intriguing story seems to be
Sanders.
Sanders.
That's it.
That's it.
I think this is the least anticipated draft in 10 years.
And the last, you think back the last several years, okay, is he number one or is he number one? A lot of times it was pretty surefire who's going to be number one. But then after that, it was like, they're moving up to get so-and-so, and then that would create havoc. Now, that was usually during the draft. But as far as pre-draft hype, Sanders is the only guy.
And I think it also has to do with what team you are rooting for. Let's just look at the Arizona Cardinals. They're in the middle of the pack at 16. All right? If they were at number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then I think it would be a more interesting draft. But I'll tell you, from today, going to the car wash, stopping to talk to the first guy, hey, Rock, do you think the Cardinals are going to take 16? I'm like, I don't know. Next guy, I get out of my car.
Okay.
The guy that's cleaning my car. Hey, Rock, where are they going to go with? Then there was some other dude sitting next to me. He saw my license plate, and he said the same thing. Who the car's going to take at 16? I don't know. I said, I hope it's an offensive lineman. I hope
that's it.
And then every guy's got that, they need to get somebody for Kyler. They need another wide receiver. I got a buddy on my way here calls me. Hey, they're going to go wide receiver. They're going to go wide receiver. I'm like, well, all right, so what? I hope they go wide receiver. I can care less. Let's talk next year.
Yeah,
I can't get in this draft at all.
I think because, number one, the quarterback's usually overridden that. They're not, that star powers are not there. It's this year, it's defensive linemen, edge rushers, offensive linemen.
Yeah. But most people can only probably give you 3.
Yeah.
If that.
4.
If that.
Yeah.
If I'm the Cardinals, I just take the best SEC player available.
That's not a bad choice.
No.
Because they're all dudes. They're all studs.
You look at the Philadelphia Eagles. You look at their draft.
3 minutes.
It's heavy. It's heavy Georgia.
It is.
Few Alabama.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. They built with defensive linemen, offensive linemen.
Yeah,
look what
the
they've
butt
done.
guts.
They have. And there's some dudes coming out of that SEC.
They could not believe when Jalen Carter fell to them.
You look at the offensive linemen coming out of the SEC, the edge rushers coming out of the SEC.
Yep.
Just the outstanding players, receivers. And I think for everybody says, hey, who are they taking? Well, they'll take somebody that isn't of need. If it's that offensive lineman, or if it's another defensive lineman, which they probably don't need, but they have to do that edge rusher. So I think the curious picks for the Cardinals will be that second or third round, who they go after. There was people on the board go, well, they'll have a corner coming off.
I remember that the kid from Texas.
Yeah, 16. No, they need help up front.
Yeah.
The Philadelphia Eagles have set the standard, man, defensively and offensively. If you can follow that blueprint of what they did in that Super Bowl, those general managers are like, all right, well, forget the receiver this year. How about this offensive lineman from Alabama or this edge rusher from Georgia?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, oh my gosh, they did it with 4 guys.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do that.
They did not blitz once in the Super Bowl.
I've never heard of that. I've watched all of them, but I've never seen one blitz.
Yeah.
From that. That was pretty phenomenal.
I remember driving home and listening to WIP in Philadelphia after the Super Bowl, driving home from Wichita, and they said that stat. They're like, yeah, the Eagles did not have a blitz.
Yeah.
And, I watched the game as like you guys
right,
did, but
we're all there.
working too, but I didn't really notice that.
No, you didn't. It's funny you said, because it's like, okay, we might have missed a stunt by a linebacker or whatever. But to see those front 4 come after Mahomes wasn't used to having 8 guys drop off in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's monkey see, monkey do in the National Football League, right?
I'm sure if he knew that was coming, he could have prepared better for it.
Probably.
Yeah, and I think
he could have picked them apart.
I think that
or used his legs more.
Yeah.
Well, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles outsmarted him. He just came with 4. I think that was one of the only times. There was one other time during the season they said that he did that, but they used to bring a lot of stunts and blitzes. So sometimes these guys set you up for the big game. Totally set them up for just bringing 4 guys.
All right, coming up, ESPN has made it official on its extension with one of College Game Day's hosts. But first, the Major League Baseball team that's had the most in-season babies. I think it's a shocker. It's not going to be the city you would think that these guys are out there meeting ladies and having babies. We'll get into that next. Listen to Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Now on ESPN 620 and on FM at 98.7 HD2 Plus. We are streaming. And if you want to check us out, download the app, Arizona Sports app, and you can find us there. More Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B continues.
Let me go, Beelzebub. Oh, me.
And welcome to Lodge Mentality. The guys are live at Twin Peaks Glendale, located at 95th Ave in Glendale. Twin Peaks, the ultimate sports lodge and home of the 29-degree beer. Here's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
All right, Bohemian Rhapsody started the whole music video trend as Queen made a promotional video for the song in 1975. It was such a hit that the record companies started making videos for all their hit songs. And that's how it started.
Is that how it started?
That's your random fact of the day.
Yeah. Very nice.
All right, on this day, 51 years ago, Tampa Bay Buccaneers were established as an NFL franchise. That was 1974. 30 years ago, 1995, Darryl Strawberry was sentenced to 6 months of home confinement, ordered to pay back $350,000 in back taxes. And On draft day, 21 years ago, 2004, Eli Manning was selected by the Chargers as the number 1 NFL pick. Then they traded him less than an hour later to the New York Giants. I hope something like that happens.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Hey, I'm not going there. I mean, imagine Shedeur Sanders.
I remember that.
Imagine Sanders getting drafted by the Giants going, I want to go there.
John Elway. I'm not going to go play for the Colts in Baltimore. I'm going to go play baseball.
I could totally see him doing that. Sanders.
Would that be just top it
I
off?
want to go play for the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, he didn't want to play for Frank Kush. That was the whole thing. With the Colts, Frank was the head coach at the time.
Yep.
Didn't want to play for Frank.
No, he did not.
I don't think it had heartburn. If it would have been any other coach, it was Frank Kush specifically.
Yeah.
And I remember that when he got drafted, like, how dare you dictate
I remember that.
where you want to go? Where all of us were like happy to go wherever. I'd have gone and played Siberia if they had a team in Siberia. I didn't care. I mean, I'm like, I want to go somewhere. But that was like, wow.
That changed everything.
It changed everything.
It
And then the Eli Manning thing was like, again?
Yeah.
Doesn't want to go to the Chargers, would like to go to the Giants. Sure enough, worked out.
So, longtime College Game Day host Reese Davis has decided to stay at ESPN after Fox made an all-out effort to have him become one of the hosts of the Big Noon Kickoff Show. So they made it official today as they gave him the extension to be the host of College Game Day. He's solid.
I mean, that's College Game Day.
That's him.
Reese Davis.
Yeah.
Kirk Herbstreit, Reese Davis. And they're casting characters.
Now you're going to have McAfee and Saban. Those are going to be your guys.
Who knew Saban had this effervescent personality and would put it out there telling? I mean, you the stoicness, you don't see a lot of that personality.
Well, we don't because we're so far removed. But just like I talked about Bill Belichick, all you ever saw, for the most part, people around the country, was his press conference. Nobody really knew what he was really like.
I love his.
Go ahead, finish the story.
Yeah,
no, that's all I'm going to say.
No,
I've told it before.
We know.
Okay, so I told it.
But we have a new listener right now, so they want to hear
What
it.
new listener?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'll say.
We know you love touting your background.
I don't. I was just saying. Okay, here's the deal. So I get done doing a New England Patriots Buffalo Bills game, and I go down on the field afterwards and into the locker room.
Play the music there.
And here comes
Connor.
Bill Belichick, and they wanted me to do a couple of extra live shots and interview some people. And Bill had just done his press conference, and where he stands there and just sort of mopes around. So I just walked over and talked to him, and I've known him a little bit here
about
and there.
the same height, right?
Pretty close. Yeah, not bad. And so it's an easy interview to me because I'm doing eye to eye. So I just asked him. I told him what was going to go on, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'll do that with you, Jimmy." So we did the interview.
Oh, he knows you pretty.
He called you Jimmy.
No, Jim.
Yeah, see what? Here, that's why. Right there, you and Manuch both embellish your damn story.
No, I didn't embellish.
You did.
No,
Jimmy.
because you guys call me Jimmy all the time.
Okay,
everybody calls me Jimmy. When I'm doing television, it's Jim.
Okay, but you're not doing television.
No, I was doing television.
And he called you Jimmy.
No, he called me Jim.
Well, you just said he called you Jimmy.
No, you said Jimmy.
You guys missed what I said.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you
right
did.
Here.
No, you did.
I heard
no,
exactly what you said.
No, I said, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do that, Jim." And I said, "No. It was Jim.
You just said Jimmy.
It was Jim."
But you said Jimmy.
Well,
just say yes. I misspoke.
Okay, I misspoke.
Thank you.
Thank you. I did Roger Clements.
Accomplished.
I just did Roger Clements. I just misspoke. He said Jim.
So,
that's it.
I'm at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Fiesta Bowl pullover jacket that says Fiesta Bowl with a credential.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the elevator, and there's Saban. And I look at him. We're the only two people in the elevator.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We both had a cup of coffee. It's morning.
Okay.
And I said, "Hey, Coach." And all he did was nod his head.
Gave you the nod.
He just nodded.
And
That was it.
Then the door opened. So that's my experience.
He didn't say, "Hey, Rock."
Hey, Rock.
He didn't say, "Hey, Rock."
No, he didn't say Rock or Mike or Michael or Michael Paul. No.
The star of Phoenix.
He just looked at me. That was it.
I'd have just, you know what? Saban's Airbnb commercials.
Yeah.
They're great.
They are good.
I love. I mean, I love to see that side of these so-called stoic guys for so many years that were painted pretty much into a corner. Now you see the other side of these guys, and to hear Saban and even Belichick talk on the football sense is one thing, but they're more rounded than we could ever imagine.
Absolutely.
I mean, Saban talking about 90% of his job at Bama was recruiting.
Oh yeah.
He's so dialed in with these athletes. And the NIL deal pretty much, he said enough of that. So with that being said, he said, I'm gone.
Let me ask you, the Carolina Panthers, they're moving their training camp to Spartanburg, South Carolina. They were trying to do something in Fort Mill, which is just outside of Charlotte.
Right.
And they have come out and said they will not be hosting fans for the next 2 years for training camp. And I wonder, would that be something that Cardinal fans would be upset if all of a sudden they say, hey, we're going through a construction phase, which is going to prevent fan attendance at training camp over the next 2 summers? Would that bother you? Or you would say, all right, I get it. Or the other side of that, all right, why don't you just play in the stadium and let fans come out and see it?
I think a lot of fans would say, why don't you just practice in the stadium, let us come out, because a lot of fans build their vacations around coming out, watching the Panthers or the Cardinals. I mean, that summers are set. Okay, when are we going to go watch the training camp? Well, we're going to go, here's the dates. Now, if it's construction and we can't use the stadium, we can't use this, we can't accommodate, I think you'd have to understand that as a fan, but 2 years.
Okay, now I wasn't here when training camp used to be in Flagstaff.
It was a
Game
blast.
changer.
Game changer.
Blast.
Game changer.
Absolute great.
It was
right?
the best.
Okay, so
hands down.
if they were in that same situation that you just described, and they said, okay, we're going to go 2 years in Flagstaff, you guys would be all in.
Oh, we would.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit different because they've already done it there, and they did it there for many, 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 many years.
Yep.
And then they came down here.
Right.
And they thought that would help, be able to come in and use University of Phoenix Stadium, State Farm Stadium, whatever.
Right.
But no, Flag was the best. What I liked about Flag is 2 things. A, we'd go up there for a couple weeks, do our show.
Sure.
But second, it was economical impact. It was great for the city
monstrous.
of Flagstaff.
Yeah,
it was gigantic.
monstrous.
I used to go when I was little too.
Yeah.
I remember
and
the
you loved
the segues
summer.
that Fitz and Warner would drive around and stuff. You get your autograph. Yeah, it was the best. I loved it.
It was a destination. It was a getaway.
Yeah, getaway. Yeah,
Get up
People
and
loved it. Yeah,
get
they
up
loved
there.
it up there. Didn't they try 1 year at Prescott?
4
too?
minutes.
Well,
4
because
minutes.
remember they had an outbreak of something at the
at
dorms.
one of the dorms. Yeah, that's
So they went down to
right.
Prescott for the college.
Let me squeeze this in real
Embry
quick.
Riddle.
Who is the MLB baseball team that has the most in-season babies? Now, remember, these players now have paternity leave.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Okay?
Yeah.
Which I never, whatever. What team?
It's got to be a cold weather
I was
team.
thinking the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, because when
It was
you can't go outside.
So,
What are you doing?
Let me preface by saying this. But
Okay.
The paternity list was instituted in 2011. In this particular team has had 27 players go on leave, more than any other team.
Wow.
Man,
Now,
3
the-
minutes.
now,
3 minutes.
The least of all 30 teams,
Okay.
30, right?
Yeah.
6 was the number of paternity
Man.
absences. So what city? Jax, you go first.
Seattle.
Okay. Connor.
I'm gonna say Buffalo.
I didn't know they had a big.
They don't
they
have a
do
baseball
yeah.
team.
Baseball.
Sorry,
Okay.
you sit this one out.
Yeah.
All right.
Goodbye, Connor.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna go Cold City. I'm gonna say Mets. I'll go Mets.
You're going to go New York?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm waffling back and forth between Milwaukee Brewers and Chicago Cubs because the weather there can be, or Minnesota.
One of them. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll go.
So let me ask you.
I'll go
What's the weather have to do with it?
because
the baseball season goes, say, from March
yes.
to October, November.
However, in northern cities where they get adverse weather, the
Cold
weather's
weather.
lousy
2 minutes,
until
2
about
minutes.
June. So what else can you do? You slam. So if that's the case, then I'm gonna go Minnesota
A
Twins.
lot of date nights going on, I guess, Rock.
That what slam means?
Minnesota Twins.
Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, I was close. Oh,
Cleveland Guardians. 27
Cold weather city.
Cold weather
players.
city.
Yeah, and when guys
Yeah.
are home.
That's it.
LA Angels were the least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, California, nice weather.
Getting out and about
we got-
with the home.
every one of us. All NBA. This week, I got Pacers 5.5. Manuch has got Nuggets 5.5. Jimmy 5.5. Pacers. Jax and Connor both going 3.5 with Lakers. So there's our picks, our underdog picks, which I think this is we're done.
1 minute. 1 minute.
We're done.
No more
We
underdog.
all got it wrong last
I know
week.
we did. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, only two of 5 are even over 500.
Yeah, me and Jax are kicking butt, Rock. Why would we say
I wouldn't say 16
I wouldn't
and
say
13.
that. Yeah,
kicking
really.
butt.
Yeah.
Well,
But
that's,
it is over 500, so I'll give you that. But we're done with it. Executive decision. My name's on the marquee first. We are done.
It's
with
gone.
that.
You just erased
just want to rally for a win? Where's your competitive spirit?
No, the problem is it's NBA. It's all we can do.
Yeah.
Because baseball is every game is 1.5.
Right.
Same with hockey.
Hockey.
So and our rule is 3
Yes.
points.
Yeah.
So that's why I made executive
We
decision.
got 4 more months.
I
of
was looking at
basketball.
soccer. I was looking at anything I could find today. I'm like, I
10
can't find
seconds.
anything.
10
Cricket.
seconds.
Hey, defensive lineman, former defensive lineman Michael Bankston will join us. Mark May. That's all coming up. Coming to you live from Twin Peaks in Glendale. This is ESPN 620.
He's a proud Sam Houston State alum who played 9 seasons in the NFL for the Bengals and Cardinals. Ranked number 62 on the Arizona Republic's top 100 all-time Cardinal players. A great follow on Twitter X at BigBank90. Michael Bankston now on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
Michael, I got to see you tonight.
So you going out to the stadium?
No, I got that yellow jacket you really haven't earned that you have.
Ooh, haven't earned.
You're not going to go to their meeting tonight?
So this must be Rock.
Yeah, Rock. Yeah,
yes.
You got it. You got it, Banks.
Yes, Banks. Got to put you in your place. Come on now.
Well, I mean, the guy that can't play golf, but you know what? Let's go on with this story. Let's go move forward.
Okay. Why don't you take us back to 1992? Because you and I have something in common. We both started at the Cardinals at the same time. 1992 was my first year and only year. So talk about, here you are, fresh out of Sam Houston State. I don't know if you were living in Texas at the time, but talk us through how it all went down to the phone call and whoever else was around you.
Well, hats off to all the guys who's getting ready to be drafted. We were the last time of 12 rounds, as you know, and then went to 7 rounds after that in 1993. So 1992, you went on to the 6th round in the first day. So now you're only going to do the first round. You know, it's a propaganda now, you know, it's a political aspect, and which is nothing wrong with that because they're going to give them the props. For me, I sat there and waited. You always think you're going to go higher than what you would go in a lot of aspects, especially coming out of Sam Houston State, coming from the small school. At that time, it was Division 1 AA. You had 1A AA. Now you got FC1 and BC1, all those things happening. And now Sam Houston is BC1. Hats off to them. It is a somewhat of a nail biter because you just want to get picked by some team. I had no clue about Arizona, to be quite frank. But I was just hoping to get picked by one team, and the rest is history after that. So I know a lot of those guys, some of those guys are supposed to go in the first round, and sometimes they get bumped down longer than they should. Some of the people that probably didn't think they're gonna go first round, as we've seen in the past, somehow sneak up in the first round because that's what teams need. Hopefully with the Cardinals, we just see it because it's in the middle of Pac 16, that we get something that we need. I'm always going to be on the defensive side because I believe defense is in a championship. I know Allison's got to score points, but at the end of the day, you want them to have the turnovers. You want them to have pressure on the quarterback. You want them to have that tight coverage. You want the linebacker to be able to come downhill, just out the run, and giving you an opportunity to play the short side of the field.
So Banks,
hopefully they draft somebody that's going to be beneficial. That's all you can say.
So when you look at this defensive front seven, you got Calais Campbell's back in the fold. You got Tomlinson. You've got
Thank
him.
God.
You got him, and you got Sweat. So you pretty much addressed a lot of your defense. And I agree with you. The defense is doing the championships, but they're pretty much set there, it seems. So you think at number 16, the Cardinals' bigger need would be an offensive line, get the best offensive guard that's out there, or do you still feel that they can still add one more defensive tackle or one more edge rusher?
Well, I mean, I do know, I should say it this way, that they need to protect Kyler Moore. He runs too much, to be quite frank. They need somebody to keep him in the pocket and so upset and where he can go and throw down the field. And you got Marvin Harris, you got Wilson, and there's a possibility they try to get another receiver. They re-signed Dortch. Those guys can catch the ball and stretch the field. But at the end of the day, I think when you look at it, either you trade or you try to go up there and get the best player at that time. And it's a possibility it might be an offensive player. There's nothing wrong with an offensive lineman. A great offensive lineman that can protect them, that can come in and start right, left, tackle, or even the guard. It doesn't matter, just as long as they can protect Kyler Murray so he can get the ball down the field. We already know Kyler Murray is going to be the quarterback 2025, so we got to make sure he's protected and then also give him the necessary weapons so he can get the ball downfield. And with James Conner, they just re-signed him, and he's a beast. So And there's nothing wrong with getting another defensive player and get it twisted. Because as you can see, sometimes the receivers, you can get a guy that's just hungry at the end of the day, and you can get him in the second, third round, and he's still going to be beneficial as long as he's hungry, as long as he can catch the ball.
So you prefer the Cardinals either move up or move down for picks if that particular player is there. If is it the offensive player or defensive player you'd move up or move down for?
I will move up for the defensive player. I will move down for the offensive player because you can get more in the later rounds.
Okay.
If you can get more picks. But if we can get somebody to go up there and clog up the middle, I mean, we got Calais now, like you just indicated. We got Josh West coming off the end, but you still need more than that to make sure that the defense is solid. Because we need some cornerbacks too, just to make sure there's tight coverage. Because if you don't have tight coverage, it don't matter how fast the guys are coming off the end, then they'll still be able to throw those quick routes, and those guys will still make 3 or 4 yards a play, which is going to end up in the first down. So if we have to move up, I would say either a defensive lineman that can clog, or a cornerback that can cover.
Michael Bankston's our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Banks, I know that there are a lot of good players in this draft, but it seems other than maybe Travis Hunter, there's not sensational type players. Is this draft lacking in sizzle as far as those great players that we are accustomed to seeing?
Well, I mean, when you look at defense, they always talk about it as a duel. They talk about the cornerback, I think it's from Michigan. But then after that, they're talking about receivers and mostly quarterbacks, but that's always the case, mostly quarterbacks. Now, there's only certain teams need that quarterback to come in and start. Everybody else is going to need that quarterback to come in and set maybe for a year or two, and hopefully he develop into that quarterback. But if you want somebody that's going to start on the beginning, you always go defense.
3 minutes.
Just put a hand on the ground. As far as defensive lineman, as a linebacker, you got to be willing to hit. Safeties, you just really got to be willing to go downhill and make sure you can guard the tight end coming up the seam. If we can get that done, you got a winning situation. Now, that's all said, good and said and done, because that's all chalk talk. But you still got to have those players that's going to be hungry to go up there and play the game that they should play and play it to efficiency and make sure we get W's at the end of the day. We got to come up. This year, we got to be that team that at least get in the playoffs. We need all the pieces to get into the playoffs. John Gannon, they got to go up there and set the offense and defense, and also special teams, because you always have 3 phases at the end of the day that's going to be able to win ball games, especially late in games, because everybody's trying to do the same thing, and you got to be able to be that team that win late in games.
So let me ask you this, Bang. My last question for you is, okay,
2 minutes.
What's happened in the offseason by Monty Ossenfort with this defense, if they don't do any drafting of defensive players per se, maybe they get a corner later on, but I mean those impact players you talk about, is this defense going to stand pat and be ready to go and be improved from last year with what they got as of today without the draft?
Well, I mean, they got Akeem, as a linebacker. Of course, they got Josh Webb. Of course, they brought Calais Campbell, and I've seen Calais when he was in Miami. I mean, he's still, I don't know if it's HBO special on your radio, but he's still big as hell.
Yep.
That's not going to change. So you can clog up the middle, and hopefully we can stop and run. That's one of the things that we had issues with, stop and run and rushing the passer. If we can't still do that at the end of the day, it's going to be tough. So I'm always going to advocate that we get the players in position or the players that we need to rush the passer.
1 minute.
And have that tight coverage. And then you win the ball games. You saw what Eagles did. Eagles won with 4 guys
putting
pressure on the quarterback. No blitzes, no nothing. and they were still getting back to Mahomes. That's what you need.
Banks, we always enjoy you taking time for us, so thank you so much today, especially on draft day. And we'll have something to talk about, I'm sure, next week when the Cardinals get all these picks.
Yeah, and like I said, you already know. Hopefully they get the right picks, and hopefully those pieces of the puzzle are put together. And also, you know what? You got those guys that are going to come in free agents. You already know that too. And those guys going to be even more hungry than the guys that got drafted. So you're going to have maybe one or two of those guys that are going to step up as well and make a difference on that team, whether it's offensive, defense, or special teams. So I talk to those guys. Hopefully they do well. Hopefully we get the right picks, and hopefully we move forward. Hopefully we get into the playoffs this year, and and see what happens next.
All right, Banks. Don't work too hard, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Be careful out there.
All right, you too, and good luck to you guys. Always a pleasure talking to you guys. And Roc, don't be disrespecting me in public.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Give him hell, Banks. Give him hell. I've been wanting to talk to you in person because I have a huge opportunity for you, but I don't see you at these meetings, so I don't know when I'm going to be able to talk to you. I need to hook up with the alum. I mean, I got some really big stuff for football season for you, Banks. So, but if you call me out like that, all right, let's see where we're at.
Well, you know I'm the NFLPA president.
Yes, I do.
So let's hook up. Let's make some things happen.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun because that's part of it.
Dollar signs there, Bank.
That talks.
Fill the bank with Big Bank 90.
That's
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Roc.
Thank you, Michael. Talk to you soon. That's Michael Bankson joining us
You
here.
guys be blessed.
Okay,
Former Cardinals and Bengals defensive line.
That's our NFLPA president here locally, Roc.
Yeah.
Retired player president.
Well, he's a Yellow Jacket, so I'm like, come on, he's a white jam. Like, let's go, dude. I want to see you in a meeting. I'm helping chair this year, like social chairman this year.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's my
You
role.
volunteered for that role, huh?
It's not a volunteer thing. You get asked. And now that my bar is going to be opening here in a 4 or 5 weeks, it's perfect. That's probably why.
Yes.
Probably why let's have Roc.
You are cut out for that job, Roc, Mr. Social
I think
Chairman.
so. Yeah, I did it for 2 years in my fraternity, so a lot of experience back in the 80s.
The fraternity.
The Memphis Grizzlies head coach, Kawhi Leonard, and Nico Harrison all have something in common. They're all part of today's AI Playful Parodies. It's edited and it's ready to go next. We are live from Twin Peaks in Glendale here on ESPN 620. All right, we're out here in Glendale. If you're looking for a place to take advantage of happy hour at 3 o'clock before the draft, if you're coming out here for all the festivities, pop in. Enjoy happy hour from 3 to 6 here. And then after the draft, after 10, if you're still hanging out, it'll all be going on here at Twin Peaks in Glendale at Westgate. Well, time for today's AI's Playful Parodies is where we bring you the funniest AI takes in the sports world. And it's exclusively here. And these are parodies, so you're being warned. They've been edited to the best of Jack's ability and Connor's to present to you. And we will start with the Memphis head coach, and his name is pronounced how, Jimmy?
Ilisalo. Ilisalo is
Coach
his last
Ilisalo.
Tuamas.
Yes, that's his first name.
Tuamas Ilisalo.
And here he is talking about back-to-back horrible losses to the Thunder.
You know how in sports movies the coach gives a speech and the team comes back? Yeah, this ain't that movie.
Is there a way to go on the street outside of this, like with your phone, to see if it's doing that?
No, it's not through the
what?
The clip's done. The clip's done on the radio.
Yep.
All right, that's the clip. Connor, we need to go to break. We're having technical issues here. We can't hear anything. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back with more Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B out here in Glendale's Twin Peaks.
It's Thursday, and welcome to Lodge Mentality. The guys are live at Twin Peaks Glendale, located at 95th Ave in Glendale. Twin Peaks, the ultimate sports lodge and home of the 29-degree beer. Here's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
All right, Mark May is going to join us in about 8-9 minutes. What do you always say, Manuch? We're not
Gremlins.
We're not feeding the hamsters.
The hamsters.
That little gremlin
Jimmy's
problem
been
there.
stealing their food, so they get a little pissed off and they bite the wires, and we struggle sometimes on remote. We're playing some of the parodies. These are AI takes, and they're parodies that we have to edit, and they're typically a presser after a game. And we have Kawhi Leonard. And this is after he posted a 39-point performance in game 2 over the Denver Nuggets. And here's what he had to say after the game.
Honestly, I might go down as one of the best general managers in NBA history.
Wrong one.
You know how in sports movies, the coach gives a speech and the team comes back? Yeah, this ain't that movie. We are finished. Where I'm from in Finland, if you perform like this, you apologize to the village and sleep outside for a week.
That's actually, first you heard Nico. You're going to hear him in a minute. Then it was Memphis head coach. But now we will get into Kawhi Leonard and his 39-point performance in game 2 over Denver Nuggets.
I just put my huge robot balls right on the double chin of Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets organization tonight. I know his nickname is the Joker, but on this evening, his nickname was the Choker. 7 turnovers and an air ball off the backboard to top it off at the end. That can't be my MVP. And I have no idea how Bum Simmons ended up on our team. This dude is still scared to shoot the ball. I saw he had some brown stain on his shorts at halftime. I think he shit himself like Paul Pierce. Dude stank up the whole locker room, but somehow he had more points than Bogdan Bogdanovic. This piece of shit was trying to help out his Serbian friend Jokic with all his bricks. He was literally wearing a Denver jersey out there. How the hell do you end up with 0 points in 15 minutes? Someone check this guy's bank account. I think he had a deal with the Serbian mafia or something. Get this bum off my team, man. And my good friend Russell Westbrook was hitting every 3-pointer in the fourth quarter. I ain't never seen Russ act up like that before. I know he ain't shooting like that ever again.
Kawhi Leonard after the game. Again, these are AI parodies. Let's give the one more, Connor. Let's replay what we played a little bit of it. Nico Harrison, of course, the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, who was responsible for training Luka Doncic. Here is his presser talking about he's considered in his mind one of the greatest general managers ever.
Honestly, I might go down as one of the best general managers in NBA history. That fatty Luka didn't belong here. Everyone here in the media has no idea what they're talking about. You guys are the ones who should lose their jobs. If we didn't have injuries, we'd be better than the Lakers. Luka was a cancer to our organization, and he better not be talking about me anymore. Luka, I own you, lil bro. I guarantee an NBA championship next season once I trade Anthony Davis back to the Lakers for a bag of chips. This team will never fire me, though. I slept with the owner's wife.
There it is.
Now we know. There it is.
That's it.
There you go. All right. That's our AI parodies today presented by G2G Protein Bars. You can find them in the refrigerated section at Costco and online at g2gbar.com. And right now, free shipping on all orders over $50, and first-timers get 15% off. Just head to g2gbar.com. Our It's Your Call question of the day, which is brought to you by State 48 Roofing. We have 2 of them today. First one, best ever 6th-round pick or higher not called Tom Brady. Antonio Brown, Terrell Davis, Mark Schlereth, or Brock Purdy are your 4 picks there. The other question is, how many trades do you predict in the first round in tonight's draft? 0, 1 to 3, 4 to 5, or 6 or more. So go ahead and vote at Roc and Manuch. You know, there's some guys that were undrafted that had a lot of success. Mm-hmm. Tony Romo, Kurt Warner, Jeff Saturday. those are just a handful. Antonio Gates.
Yes.
These are guys that weren't drafted.
Hall of Famer
Antonio Gates. Great careers.
Yep.
But when you look at the ones that we're talking about right now that were drafted, Antonio Brown, he was 6. He was 195th overall by the Steelers in 2010. Terrell Davis, 6th round, 196 overall by the Denver Broncos in 1995. And he was crucial in the Broncos' back-to-back Super Bowl wins. And he had 2,000-yard rushing season.
Also Hall of Famer.
Top picks of all time.
Yep.
Mark Schlereth, a 10th-round pick.
Yep.
By the Washington Redskins in 1989. He's been a key offensive lineman. He's won 3 Super Bowls in his career. So you got to put him in there. And Brock Purdy, it's still out.
Yeah.
Still out on what he's going to do. Only reason why I put him in there is because of Manuch.
Thank you, Rock. I appreciate that.
Couldn't find anybody else. So.
I went with Schlereth just because of what you just referenced. 3 Super Bowls. The guy was a sensational lineman, not only in Washington, but then when he got to Denver as well. And look, we're going to have a conversation with Mark May. He knows all about offensive linemen. So I went for Schlereth on that one. Yeah.
I went with Terrell Davis, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
All the things coming out with Cal State Poly or something like that. Here's this guy that just set the world on fire. So I think the first couple of years he was nothing more than a special teams guy, spot player, but he comes in. Here's one of those guys, again, that's a Hall of Famer from that standpoint. I can see Schlereth. I think with Brock, taking him 1 Super Bowl, taking him to 2, that'd be the Niners, to 2 NFC Championship games. And Brock would be my 1B, but I think right now Terrell Davis, since he is in the Hall of Fame and he broke so many records.
1B?
Yeah, I would put 1B, yeah. Absolutely.
Ahead of Schlereth?
Oh, yeah.
Ahead of somebody like Terrell Davis who's in the Hall of Fame?
I said Davis number 1.
And then he went
Brock.
Well, he's got to collect that paycheck when Brock gets his new contract.
Well, think about that. In his early career, he's stayed 2 NFC Championship games.
I understand.
Won 1. Been to a Super Bowl already.
But he went to
Mr. Irrelevant.
I know he was Mr. Irrelevant, but he went to a team that was loaded.
So Terrell Davis had Mark Schlereth blocking for him.
You hear Chris Sims the other day said they should trade him?
No, I didn't hear that.
San Francisco should trade him.
That's not going to happen.
Get what they can and just trade him.
That dog ain't going to hunt. What happened?
That's a big
you
statement
can say that about
Sims.
Jimmy. You can say about a lot of Hall of Fame.
Oh, I know.
You still have to perform, Jimmy.
I know
you got to throw the pass.
I know that.
You still got to run the ball. You have your offensive line.
You got to block for those guys.
So did Joe Montana
you
have a great
block
team?
For those guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he did have
So
a
that
great
whole
team.
system thing is a bunch of BS.
I didn't say
I
system.
get so tired of that.
I didn't say system. Damn it, Manuch, don't put words in my mouth. I never said system.
You just said
I
about
did
Brock
not say
Purdy.
system.
You said all he had was all those great
I
players.
said he had great players around him.
Okay.
I never said system.
Okay, I apologize. But you insinuated that he
No,
had
I
success because of great players around him.
But I agree with that, though. I do.
Okay.
Call me. I'll say system. I'll say system because you look what happened last year. All those guys that were hurt.
Yeah.
All the guys that made that team successful, and he didn't have a great year.
Yeah, but he's still
when you lost his wide receiver, his running back, and some of his other players that were hurt. That really affected him because he needed those players to work in that system.
But when you have all those great players,
you
still got to read the defense. You still got to complete the pass.
Oh, no, I'm not saying he's a lousy player. All I said is that I would put Schlereth in front of him behind Terrell Davis. That's all. That's all I said.
And then you just he's look at all the players he had. Well, sure, look at all the great players. That's great. You still have to produce.
You could say the same thing about Tom Brady early on. It was the players. It was the system.
But he had to get the ball there, make the read, get the throw, and the system helps that out. I get it.
Okay,
I get it.
So, but you're moonwalking.
No, I'm not. I'm saying
you're
players.
You're beating us up about the system now. You just said the system is positive.
The system, the player, but you still have to produce. You still have to
say
make
you didn't have to.
Yeah.
You just are so offended by the system.
No. Well, the whole thing is players still have to go out and produce. I get so irritated when they say, well, look at all the great players he had around him. Okay, get it. But he's still got to get the ball to him. He's still got to make the checks. He's still got to make the read.
I'm with you. I'm not trashing him. All I was referencing was I thought Schlereth's career compared to Purdy's career, and he's only been there
Feel free to
3
toss them the other
years.
way.
I get it.
That's why I selected Schlereth.
But the
That's the
insinuation.
only thing I said. I didn't insinuate anything.
You said look at all the players around him.
Yes, he walked into a great situation.
I agree.
Okay.
But on top of that, when he starts to produce with all the great players around him, Jimmy B.
They all have
this,
to
Coach. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Don't you think that certain quarterbacks that are going to get drafted tomorrow and today, tomorrow, and Saturday are getting drafted because they're going to fit a particular system?
I agree with that. But you still have to perform.
Okay, but they're
in
going
that
to.
system.
But they're being drafted to fit in a system.
The system
Brock
or the
Purdy
weather
was fit into a system that worked well for him.
They picked Brock Purdy because of all the reps that he had in college. They liked his throwing the ball. He happened to get there. And then a lot of times you can fit a system around the guy. So it's all part of it. But they still have to perform, great players, system or not. That all still part of it. Well, he's in this great system. Oh, yeah. So is Montana. So is Brady.
Yeah.
So is all of them.
We're not arguing that.
We didn't argue that.
But they still have to perform.
We didn't say he didn't have to perform.
Well, the thing was you're saying about the great players around him.
Yes.
And he still has to perform with great players around him.
You can't argue that. Looking at what the 49ers did last year, they were supposed to go back to the Super Bowl.
But everybody got hurt.
Everybody got hurt.
Yeah.
So Brock didn't have those compliments to make him successful.
And that's exactly right. But he still performed at a high level even without those guys.
Mark May's next. But here's Jax with a Twin Peaks ESPN update.
It's now time for your Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B's Twin Peaks ESPN 620 Sports Center update. I'm Jackson Groff. The 2025 NFL Draft kicks off tonight, 5 p.m. local time. The Arizona Cardinals hold the 16th overall pick. Same spot in 2021 where they selected Zaven Collins. But they won't be looking for a linebacker tonight as offensive line, defensive line, edge rusher, or wide receiver are on the table for the Birds. Daniel Jeremiah mocks that wide receiver Emeka Ibuka could go to the Cardinals. Peter Schrager mocks the defensive back Jahdae Barron. Charles Davis sees offensive tackle at Ohio State Josh Simmons going to the Cardinals. Plenty of options, a lot of unpredictability, which is must-watch TV and must-listen radio. Catch all tonight's first-round coverage on 98.7 FM and ArizonaSports.com. NFL Draft, NBA playoffs, and NHL playoffs are all on at Twin Peaks, the best place for all things hoops and puck. Pick out your favorite locations, all 5 Valley locations, Scottsdale, Tempe, Deer Valley, Phoenix, and Glendale. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views.
Now to talk everything football is two-time Super Bowl champion, a member of the famed Washington Redskins Hogs offensive line, 1981 first-round pick, earned All-American honors at Pitt, and a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, football analyst and commentator Mark May, now on ESPN 620.
All right, Mark, I'm giving you the keys to the Arizona Cardinals. You're the general manager. You have the 16th pick. What position are you filling?
Sell the team. Sell the team.
Can't do that today, Mark. Maybe in a few weeks.
Not on draft day. Not on draft day.
That's great.
So
well, the thing is, guys, people ask me all the time. Like I talk to the Commanders radio station. It's like, well, who are they going to draft? It's like 16, 22, 31, 47, 18, and the Powerball number is 6.
Yeah.
How the heck do I know? Once you get past the first 2 or 3 picks in the NFL draft, you don't know what's going to happen. Teams could trade. How about if you're waiting for a player that you've tagged that this is the guy that we want, and somebody else picks him 2 picks before you get a chance to pick that guy? You just don't know. So you've got to have at least, if you're in the Cardinals position at this point, you've got to have at least 4 or 5 names that you're targeting right now, and you can go offensive line. I really think they're not going defensive line unless somebody really slides down really deep in this draft. The reason being is, look what they've already did on their defensive line. Last year's draft Darius Robinson in the first round. Hopefully they can get something out of him this year. Look what they did in free agency this year. They retooled their entire defensive front. So why would they go for another defensive lineman in the draft? Get a position need. Get an offensive lineman. Get a wide receiver. Get a cornerback. If Howard slides from Michigan, they're talking about him sliding because of his injuries.
So, Mark, when you talk about Calais Campbell and Tomlinson and some of the other guys, Sweat, them scratching those itches, so to speak, on the defensive side, I agree with you. I'd love to see them get the top available offensive guard or offensive lineman at that number 16. But have they satisfied that defense for the upcoming year, or do they need to continue to build maybe some 3rd, 4th round draft picks on the defensive side?
I think that's the way that I would go. I would go later on in the draft to try to get some backups, the guys that they can put in there so they can keep these starters fresh. They can go in and give them a couple of series off, give them a couple of plays off, find that depth, that quality depth that you can build on for down the road. That's what I would be looking to target. I would find the best position of need right now and the best player available at the point, because you don't know who's going to be available. You're hoping that guys are going to be available. You don't know. What if one of the better tight ends in the draft falls down? Are you going to sit there and say, well, we signed our guy to a big time contract. Are we going to go ahead and just sign, Loveland from Michigan if he slides down that far? If he's there and available, why not take him? Look what New England, when they had their success, when they had 2 tight ends with Brady, they had a lot of success with Gronk and Hernandez going to Super Bowls. Why not go with that approach if that player is available? But you just got to wait to find out what happens. You never know what's going to happen. It is a privilege and an honor to be drafted. It's something that you don't expect to have happen.
Mark May is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Mark, what I want to ask is about the draft itself. And it seems to be a draft that does not have sizzle to it, excitement to it, maybe other than where Shadur Sanders is going to land. But there are some really good players in here, right? I mean, it's a loaded draft for offensive line, defensive line, cornerbacks, and even some wideouts.
Absolutely, Jimmy. When you look at this draft, so they don't have those big quarterbacks that are going last year in the first round and multiple players like that. But they can build on quality players in this draft. You always go where your bet is, brother. Offensive line, defensive line. Build from the inside out. The trenches are out. It's not sexy. It's not appealing to the fans. But guess what? That's what stabilizes your franchise when you get those quality players inside and build from inside out. This is one of those drafts where, hey, forget about the sizzle. We're going with steak.
So in reference, the one thing you alluded to, and I've been pounding the table too, that I think they definitely need, whether it be the 2nd or 3rd round, I would prefer 2nd. You'll get that home run hitter, that fast wide receiver, hopefully catch the damn ball. But somebody that can stretch this defense out, because the Cardinals have been lacking that last several years. Would you get a top, fastest receiver in that 2nd pick for the Cardinals?
The question is there going to be one available in that second area?
That's true.
If you look at Ibuka from Ohio State, everybody's going to say that he's going anywhere from first round to early second round to mid-second round. That's definitely a player. He's not a big-time burner, but he's a complete wide receiver. And there aren't that many players. There's a kid from Texas that's done an outstanding job catching the ball. He's a 4.29 40?
Yeah.
But besides that, there aren't that many guys out there. If you can find a guy that can catch the ball, that's a good route runner, that runs a 4.3, 4.3, 4.3, 4.4 range, go ahead and take him if he's available. But I don't know if there's that guy that early in the draft that you want to put that much value in, because if you look at the board right now, basically there's like 2 or 3 wide receivers that may go in the first 2 rounds early. After that, it's like a crapshoot.
And what about a lot of these top running backs as far as coming out? Genti obviously should probably be the first one. The running backs back in vogue now after being so many years of off the board?
I think so. I think when you look at it, it always runs cyclical in the NFL. There's always a cycle pattern where all of a sudden running backs in the 80s, you got to have a big running back, you got to have a great offensive line, you got to kill the clock and keep your defense fresh and off the field. Then all of a sudden it went to wide receiver. We're going to spread them out. Then all of a sudden the zone reads and stuff came in. The bottom line is it's always going to happen that way. But if you look at the good franchises, Philadelphia, good running game. Kansas City, good running game. San Francisco, good running game. LA Rams, good running game. When you look at those teams that year in and year out consistently are getting to the playoffs, bottom line, they're always in the top 10 in running. Even when running backs weren't in vogue, they were always in the top 10 in running.
About another 2.5 with Mark. 2.5 with Mark.
And the rushing attack. Even if they didn't have that premier back, one player, Saquon Barkley, goes from the Giants to the Philadelphia Eagles with their great offensive line. They win the Super Bowl in year 1. Running backs are in.
Where do you think Shedeur Sanders eventually ends up? There's so much chatter about this kid. I don't get it, Mark. I think he's very talented. But it seems like there's so much chatter about why he should be pushing down, why they shouldn't draft him. I don't understand that.
2 things that stink about the draft, particularly the last week and the last few days leading up to the draft, that drives me wild, that does not make sense. You've got years, 1, 2, 3, 4 years of and plus now with the COVID years, maybe 5 or 6 years of watching a player play.
Yes.
That doesn't change. If you're going to wait until the combine and when you test and work them out, gee, let him have to jump over a box and skip rope. Boy, he does that real well. Let's move him up in the draft. No. You look at the film, you look at the tape, and you say, can he play at the next level? Does he dominate at his level where he's playing now? Is he an exceptional player at the level where he's playing now? All that other stuff, great. Run the 40, do the vertical. All that stuff is great to find out if you're an athlete. But if you're a good football player, you're an athlete to begin with. And you're good enough to make it to the next level. And the other things about tearing these players down, it's like, you hear one report about, geez, Shedeur Sanders came in and he was really cocky. Then the next report comes in and says, when we interviewed him, we thought he was terrific. We thought he was one of the best interviews we had the entire draft. So who are you going to believe? Do you want that player to fall to you? Or do you want that player to rise up in the draft? Are you going to build a player up or knock them down? For some reason this year, they're knocking everybody down. There's very few players that are rising up in a hurry this year.
Mark, we appreciate you, man. Thank you for the time today.
You bet. Have a good one, guys.
That's Mark May joining us, of course, Super Bowl champion. And he joins us here on the Right to It guest line. And we are live from Twin Peaks in Glendale, getting ready for tonight's draft. Coming up, we need a contestant to challenge one of the beautiful Twin Peaks girls from the Glendale Twin Peaks. We'll take caller number 5 at 602-230-0620. That's 602-230-0620. And you will be picking the Knicks at Pistons, Nuggets at Clippers, and Lakers at Timberwolves, which is tomorrow. And we'll take that caller now at 602-230-0620. Listen to
Towing.com. You did it last time we were here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you did, right?
Your future is on the move.
Who won?
I was in a wreck. I need a check. I was in a wreck. I need a check. I was in a wreck.
You guys might be getting slammed here pretty soon.
Maybe. We'll see. Picks up for the draft.
We've been serving Arizona's for 20 years. Make the best choice after an accident. Call 977-1900. That's 977-1900.
Murder and road is the way to go. Call 977-1900. 977-1900.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Twin Peaks is on the clock. Catch all of the pro football draft action at the Ultimate Sports Lodge. Round 1 kicks off at 5 p.m. on Thursday, April 24th. Tune into ESPN 620's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B for all the coverage.
Your child is sick. With those 4 words, the innocence and joy of childhood disappears. But Starlight has taught us 4 other words that make all the difference. The power of play. Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more
2,
to hospitals
3,
across the
You hear us okay?
5.
Learn
Yeah, I can hear
more
you.
at starlight.org.
Check.
There you go.
Are you ready? It's your weekly chance to challenge one of the beautiful girls from Twin Peaks. It's Peaks Picks. The Twin Peaks girls are the essential ingredient to the perfect lodge experience. Each week, our girl next door Twin Peaks contestant takes on an ESPN 620 listener for 3 games. Get the most picks right. Win a $25 man card for one of the 5 Valley Twin Peaks locations: Scottsdale, Phoenix, Glendale, Tempe, and Deer Valley. Now, time for Peaks Picks.
All right, the ladies are 18-9. Woohoo! Charisma joins us here at the Glendale location, and she won last time she was here.
Yes.
I was not, so I'll have to take their word for it. So I'm glad you did.
She was great.
You have Ruben today in Phoenix who has his picks, and Connor will give those picks to us. So we got 3 games: Knicks at Pistons, Nuggets at Clippers, and Lakers at Timberwolves.
Cool.
All right, we're going to start with the New York Knickerbockers playing the Detroit Pistons tonight. Who's going to win this one?
I honestly don't know too much about either team, so I'll take a shot in the dark, and we'll say the Knicks tonight.
It's going with the Knicks. All right, Connor, what's Ruben going with?
Ruben is going with Detroit in this game.
All right. I had the second one there, charisma. By the way, your name fits you. You've got
Thank
that
you.
charisma. You have that.
Charisma with a K.
With a K.
Yeah,
Yes.
very important.
You remember, yes.
Yes.
All right, the Nuggets taking on the Clippers tonight. Who you like in that game? Nuggets taking on the Clippers in L.A.
In LA, I'll go Clippers.
All right, Clippers. All right, what's Ruben got?
Ruben's also going Clippers.
All right.
All right, Charisma. The Los Angeles Lakers have evened the series with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They are in Minneapolis tonight. The first home, by the way, of the Los Angeles Lakers. They were originally the Minneapolis Lakers. The Lakers at Timberwolves. Winner and score on Friday night. The game tomorrow night. I need the winner and the score.
Okay, I'll say Lakers Friday night. And what was the score of the last game? Do we know?
Yes,
close.
It was close. Yeah.
Are we going? Is it high? Are we talking like
No, it was
115,
no.
110?
It did not break 100.
Did it break 100? Okay,
No.
so I'll go another tight game.
Okay.
I'll say.
Damn. Yeah.
Let's
She
go.
knows
Let's
stuff.
go. 98. 93.
98-93 Lakers. That's great.
5
All
points.
right, let's go back to the studio. Connor.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good, Charisma. Ruben wasn't far off. He is going the Lakers to win 98-104. So he actually has the Lakers getting into the hundreds.
Okay. All right, so Lakers 104 and the Timberwolves 98. All right, happy hour is getting underway in about 9 minutes. What goes on during happy hour?
Happy hour is 3 to 6, Monday through Friday. So it's $2 off tall beers and then all well cocktails. And then today for our daily specials, it's $6.50 for either Blue Moon or Tower Station IPA. And then we've got a nice $6 Coors Light as well as an $8 Pick Your Mule.
Pick your mule.
Yes.
You know
Like
what
it.
that is?
Pick your mule.
Do you know what a mule is?
Yeah, the mule drink.
Yeah.
I've had a few
Moscow
mules.
Mule.
Yep, comes in the tin. So Moscow's vodka, but you could switch up. You could do Crown Apple, Jack Daniels, Makers.
Your wife had to teach you that.
No, my son did.
Oh, okay.
My son did. He makes a great
All right,
Moscow
Chris
mule.
Smith, thank you for playing as you have in the past. So we appreciate you. So that's Chris Smith with a K. So come out and see her at the Glendale location. Of course, if you're coming down for the draft, come here first. Take advantage of happy hour, as she just mentioned, at 3 o'clock. Great place to come before all the festivities, because I guarantee you're going to go over there, and rightfully so. I mean, you got to pay these players. It's going to be expensive for the beers out there.
Oh, I can imagine.
By the way, here's what's on tap tonight. 6 o'clock right here on ESPN 620 and on FM at 98.7 HD2. You got the Arizona Sports NFL Draft Extravaganza.
4 minutes.
So that'll be going on for 3.5 hours here. Of course, we got Diamondbacks on Arizona Sports. But make sure you tune in for that. The guys will have that covered. We're going to have Ron Wolfley joining us at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. But here is the schedule for the draft. 5 o'clock today, it gets underway. All 32 teams have a first-round pick. That's the first time in 11 years, at least at this point in the day. Then rounds 2 through 7 will take place tomorrow and Saturday, 2 to 3. That rounds 2 to 3 start at 4 o'clock tomorrow, which is Friday. And then rounds 4 through 7 will conclude the draft proceedings beginning at 9 a.m. on Saturday. So you come on out here at Twin Peaks. All 5 allocations on the sound on, so you can listen to the draft and watch it at the same time.
You're looking for any of those moves to be made one way or the other, and really nothing's come over like the last couple hours. I like reading some of these headlines. Ward, huge favorite to be number 1 pick of the NFL draft.
Well, they've already rumored. They already told them they're picking him.
Exactly. So I see that and go, okay, we already know that. That was yesterday's news.
Where'd you say rumored?
It's not rumored. It's at the top of ESPN. No, at the top.
You said rumored.
I said rumors aren't out there in reference to. And it said rumored to be out there is Ward going to be the number 1 pick. We already know he's the number 1 pick. There's no rumors about it. And then some of the other moves out there that happened is Tyler Lockett getting signed by the Titans last night. So there's still some moves being made by some of the places out there with free agents. Don't see any trades per se, but as far as Tyler Lockett going to the Titans,
Jimmy's got something.
That's well needed.
He's got his Twitter.
We
Go,
did,
Jimmy.
We did have a trade take place. It is a nothing deal. It is between the Texans and the Cleveland Browns. They are swapping 5th-round picks in the draft and also some concessions
2 minutes.
In later years. So my question is, does that count as a pick swap as far as our contest is concerned on our X account? Yeah.
Well, the question is, how many trades do you predict in the first round of the NFL draft?
Does
that
one.
count? Well,
one,
but
NFL
that was
draft.
before the draft started.
Yes.
So technically, you could say when the first pick is at 5 o'clock, or 10 minutes after.
All right.
Then you could maybe say.
I was looking for clarification.
1, 2, 3, or 4, which is 0, 1 to 3, 4 to 5, or 6 or more. I'm going 6 or more. I think there'll be a lot of trades.
Really?
Well, if that would have waited, that would have considered as being 1.
Okay. Yeah, but it didn't. I mean, they already did it. So Manuch said yesterday that trades are pretty much done. All that takes place now is that phone call when you're sitting there in the war room, and then you make it official.
I'll say
1
4
minute.
to 5 will happen. I think between that 3rd and 2nd through 7th
I
round.
went 1 to 3. I think a lot of people are just blowing smoke.
But a lot of these, I mean, something like that, you're swapping 5th rounders.
Yeah.
Just depends where you're located at.
Yeah.
And they might have their eye on a couple of guys that they think will fall to the 5th round. That's the only reason why they make that move up. I'm very familiar with that 5th round. Know it very well.
Not a lot of buzz.
Thank you, O.J. Simpson, for getting traded to San Fran.
Lack of sizzle. No sizzle at all.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's like I said earlier. All right, I'm going to watch it, but I have an event, so I'm like, all right, I'll catch up the NFL Network later. Well, really not much there. It's the Sanders NFL draft.
Pretty much.
It is.
Where does he go? And then it's,
If you didn't have that, what would they
10
be?
seconds.
Right. What could be the narrative?
Yeah.
Hey, former Cardinal fullback. You know him as Wolf. Ron Wolfley will join us next right here on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy.
ESPN 620. And now, an on-air sports marketing presentation. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Now on ESPN 620, 98.7 FM HD2, and streaming live at ArizonaSports.com. The guys are powered by the law offices of Lerner and Rowe. In a record need a check? Make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. And now on your ESPN station in Phoenix, ESPN 620, Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B.
All right, he's the only player to have played in St. Louis for both the Cardinals and the Rams. Self-proclaimed America's fullback, but well known for his days hosting a show with me, which kind of really elevated his career to where it is today.
Absolutely.
And that, of course, is Ron Wolfley, who joins us now on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B. Hello, Wolf.
What's up, Wolf?
What's going on, boys? How we doing?
Doing good. You know, it just sucks because it's taken this long for you to come on a show of mine because you've been on a different station and a different group that owned us. So I am glad after, 20 years we can bring you on.
Well, Michael, listen, you used to pay me. Yeah. You used to pay me. It's not happening anymore.
Well done, Wolf. Well done.
That's good.
Cut right to the chase,
yes,
Wolf.
That is true. That is true. But you know, you're still not a big media guy, right, Wolf? You're no longer the Wolf guy. You're not
I'm not
in
a
media.
member. You know that. No, you know that. I'm not a member of the media.
No.
That's a mindset right there.
Okay.
I'm 62 years old. Savage, guys.
Yeah.
Savage. But 62 years old, and can I tell you right now, I still have a player's mentality. I do, and I think you guys know that I still have a player's mentality. I think like a player. I act like a player. I'm always going to, yet at the same time, I can't do it anymore.
That's the irony of it all.
Well, yeah. I was trying to go back in time, and Google wasn't even around back then, but was it Garth, Jax, and Wolf? What was the name of that show you did? And then Kevin Ray and you had a show, right?
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it, man. That was awesome. Yeah, it was. I did the show with Garth Jax. It was, I think, the worst radio show in the history of mankind.
I know we listened to it, Garth. We listened to it.
But at the same time, boys, going to tell you right now, absolutely loved Garth Jax and loved working with him. It was fantastic. But when you don't have a driver, that is dangerous right there. And we did not have a driver because I wasn't driving.
So, Wolf, we think back of your draft day. You think of leading up to the draft and your draft day. Cinder, were you back in West Virginia? Were you at home in Orchard Park? Kind of recollect what happened and when you got the phone call.
Yeah, I know exactly what happened. It was I was in West Virginia University. I was actually packing up. I was packing up, getting ready to move all my stuff back.
Okay.
I knew I wasn't going to be a high round pick. I knew that. I thought maybe the fourth round, if memory serves, maybe the fourth round, the fifth round and sixth round, I think was a lot more likely back then. But I was packing everything up, loading up the U-Haul. And I got a call, and I knew the draft was in the fourth round. It was in the fourth round. I wasn't watching it. It's not like back then they used to have all 12 rounds, or they didn't do it all 7 rounds now, of course, in today's NFL. And they go ahead and they televise all of it. It wasn't like that back then. About the third round, they would cut away in the middle of the third round. So I was packing up. The phone rang. I answered the phone, of course, and it was some gentleman who acted like he was Larry Wilson. He said it was Larry Wilson. I'm with the St. Louis Cardinals. We're getting ready to draft you here at 104 overall. And I said to him, "This is Larry Wilson. Knock it off." I literally did not believe that it was Larry Wilson on the phone. I thought it was one of my boys, one of my teammates, calling me up and just totally, ripping me. And it was embarrassing because for about a minute, I didn't believe him. And this guy was on the phone for a minute trying to convince me that they were getting ready to draft me. So it was kind of a weird situation, but that's my draft day memory.
Rob Wolfley joining us here on ESPN 620 as he's getting ready for the Cardinals roundtable that you'll be able to hear at 4 o'clock on 98.7, and then it'll shift at 6 o'clock here on ESPN 620. Wolf, how many interns do you have prepping for this roundtable for you?
You personally.
Yeah, I mean, I know you got a couple.
I do all my own work.
Oh, come on.
You know that. I do all my own stunts, Michael. You know that. There's no way in the world I'm going to have somebody else, hey, go get me this, or go. Are you kidding me right now?
Hey, well,
that is never going to be me ever. I don't have. You're the guys that as interns, not me.
Do you remember? So Wolf and I did a Saturday show on ESPN 860. Okay. Rock and Wolf Game Day, and one day Wolf's like, "I need somebody to get coffee for me." So all of a sudden we call out on the radio. We're looking for some interns, and one of them was a guy named Mike Gross.
Oh wow!
Who we know has been on the airwaves for a while. Yeah. And the other is a guy. And the other one is a guy named Rod Lakin, who's now the program director on #1 stations in Philadelphia and all over the country. And he started as an intern. Think about that, Ron. Where he is now at WIP in Philadelphia. He did a great job for you guys there at Arizona Sports, but he started as an intern for our little Saturday show.
That is absolutely stunning right there. And you know what else too, Rock? If you were a better salesman, we'd be national.
Give them hell. Give them hell.
Hey, by the way, hey, Wolf, and these guys won't matter, but I just got a brand new Roomba last week. Brand new one. That's an inside joke. But he knows exactly.
The poor little guy.
Jake. Yeah.
That little guy, Michael. That little Roomba, he's just working his butt off all day, man.
I'm crying over here. All right, so if we're putting you on the spot, what position would you say they are going to draft?
Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what. Of course, if they stay at number 16 right now, the Arizona Cardinals, I would love for them to draft an offensive lineman. Okay. And in particular, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm in the danger zone in regard to Tyler Booker because I absolutely love Tyler Booker. I love how the kid plays. I love the fact that he loves football. Do you know how I know he loves football? I can watch his tape, and I can see him engage with the very essence of the game, which is to line up, put your mouth guard in, come off the ball with a dark heart and a painted face.
3 minutes.
Off the ball. This is what he does, whether it's a gap scheme or whether it's the zone scheme. Tyler Booker is a guy that can hold up. And not only that, too, this is a guy who's given up 1 sack in 3 years in the SEC. Mm-hmm. 1 sack in 3 years. Would you say the SEC has some pretty good players, in particular some pretty good defensive linemen? Yes, they do. And because of that, Tyler Booker's not going to be wowed. He's not going to be wide-eyed at any type of play in the NFL. He's had experience with it in the SEC. He's a furrowed brow, a guy that loves to come off the ball and remove people. He led the SEC this year, guys. 7.1 knockdown blocks. He had 92 knockdown blocks this season, 7.1 per game. And that's the reason why Tyler Booker, I'm going to take him.
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Needs a sound pocket in front of him. He needs those interior offensive linemen to be really, really good and stout and not give up ground. Tyler Booker goes a long, long way in doing that. Not only that, you got to be able to run the ball. Kyler Murray's got to be in a situation where he's in a balanced offense and you can run the ball. And you've got a James Conner by way of example. And, man, if you tell me they get Cam Scatterboard, I'm going to lose it. I will lose it if you tell me those two guys are going to be in the backfield attacking the line of scrimmage. Have you ever been hit by a frying pan in the face? Well, I know you have.
Can't say that I have.
Fraternity days.
Yeah. Hey, Wolf, I think my Buffalo days, I'd like to throw a frying pan at me from once in a while. I'm telling you.
Right. So, Danny, would you say that hurt?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh yeah.
Would you say that?
Oh yes.
Yeah, it does. It hurt.
About 1 minute. 1 minute.
I want the Arizona Cardinals to be able to line up and Detroit Lion another team by swinging the frying pan into the face. And they've got the running back to do it. They've got a good start on their offensive line right now. What they need is a war daddy, something JG likes to say. He calls his guards war daddies. They need a war daddy, and Tyler Booker is that guy at 16.
So that's everything I would hear on the roundtable. So there's no reason for me to now tune in.
I knew that
you gave us everything right there, Ro. Is that all you got? Or you got some other nuggets you're going to pull out?
Fact, no, I will say this. If you're not going to draft Tyler Booker, I think Calvin Banks Jr. is a guy that I'd like to take at that point. I think he's got a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more versatility. This is a guy that definitely can play tackle, as we know. He was a left tackle, of course.
Clear to rep.
And now all of a sudden he's a guy you could move inside. He could play guard. I know I used to have a coach on my staff at Phoenix College when I was the worst head coach in junior college history. I used to have Tom Bresnahan was his name.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
the inventor of the K-gun up in Buffalo, New York, and with Jim Kelly and the K-gun. And Tom Bresnahan was my offensive coordinator. And I can tell you right now, man, it was a situation where we were going to attack the line of scrimmage and we were going to run the ball. And, I want to see that. I do want to see that for the Arizona Cardinals. Calvin Banks is a guy that can play inside, and Tom Bresnahan believed in drafting tackles and making them guards. And that to me is the best way to go, because if you have a tackle who goes down, you could kick a guard outside. Once again, they're typically better athletes. They typically have better feet. But, to me, again, I'd also like to see a couple of war daddies on this offensive line. Calvin Banks Jr. is more of an athlete. He's very versatile. He can play inside or out. I'd love to see them get that. If not there, maybe out on the edge. I'd like to see that.
Wolf, love you, buddy. Thank you for some time today. It's been too long to get you on the airways. I know we see you in the studio, but thank you for your time, and we'll be tuning in at 4 o'clock after we're done to the Cards Roundtable.
Boys, you know I love you, man. God bless you both, okay?
You got it. That's Ron Wolf joining us again, coming up at 4 o'clock on Arizona Sports 98.7. They got a roundtable they're doing. That's going to go till 6 o'clock on 98.7, and then they're going to jump over to ESPN 620 and 98.7 HD2, and they'll continue through 9:30. So they've got you covered here on 98.7 and ESPN 620. So we appreciate Wolf for taking the time. You can follow him on X at Wolf987 FM. All right, it's a Throwback Thursday as the 1983 NFL Draft aired for the first time from New York City on April 26, 1983. We are going to take you back, and you are going to actually hear from one of the hosts of that particular broadcast, the first one, as he's going to join us in about 20 minutes. Appreciate you hanging out with
It's Thursday, and welcome to Lodge Mentality. The guys are live at Twin Peaks Glendale, located at 95th Ave in Glendale. Twin Peaks, the ultimate sports lodge and home of the 29-degree beer. Here's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
So the first televised draft was in 1983. ESPN, which has had it forever. That could change after this year. It took place at the New York Sheraton, and that's where it was held from 1980 to 1985. Pete Rozelle was the commissioner at the time, and they were in charge of this. They were the ones that were running this show. And as we revisit it, someone recorded the entire first-round draft in 1983 on VHS. And then it finally got to YouTube in 2020. We pulled it today, and it's still working. Some of the coverage from the Sheraton Ballroom, which was hosted by George Grand. Is that how you say, or Grandy?
George Grand.
George Grand.
Yep.
And then it had Sports Illustrated's Paul Zimmerman, Dr. Z. You may remember him.
Dr. Z.
The SI. Yep. And then Howard Balzer from the Sporting News. And the broadcast began with a small panel, and they were discussing the Baltimore Colts and the fact that they are trying to trade the number one pick because Stanford's John Elway had said he's not going to go play for Frank Kush and the Baltimore Colts. And at the time, it was because of his dad, Jack Elway, who said he'll never play for Irsay or Coach Kush when you go back in time. Irsay would move the team to Indianapolis in the middle of the night, if you remember, less than a year later. Bob Lee was anchoring it back from Bristol. Remember Bob Lee, and along with Bud Wilkinson. And then a young man who was only 27 years old, and he went by the name of Christopher Berman. Chris Berman. Now, the draft went 12 rounds, and they did have one of those guys at the end, as you know very well, with Brock Purdy. And that first guy name was John Tuggle. Now, he was a running back out of Cal. He was picked to 335th overall pick. However, he passed away from cancer just 3 years later, which inspired a 30 for 30 short called the Irrelevant Giant.
Irrelevant Giant.
Remember that.
Remember that.
Then Anthony Carter was the 334th pick, so that he ended up being the guy after that people would talk about because he was Michigan's all-time leader in reception. So the sound that we have after I kind of lay that all out, here is Howard being asked by these talking heads about what's going to happen with John Elway. And listen carefully because he actually calls it. He calls it that it could be Denver because there are multiple teams that were making a play. And here he is.
The draft for the fourth consecutive year, and we are just moments away from the start of this 1983 draft. Joining us, as usual, here at the podium in New York City, Paul Zimmerman of Sports Illustrated and Howard Balzer of the Sporting News. Let's get right to it, gentlemen. The big question is the Baltimore Colts and that number one pick. What is the latest up-to-the-minute scuttlebutt? Howard, how do you read it up to this minute?
That pretty well wraps it up, really. And New England all along has had the best offer on the table, a 1 and a 2 this year and a 1 and a 2 next year. Nobody else, San Diego, really, up until last night, had never actually put an offer on the table to the Colts. It's coming down to the last minute. I'm sure the Colts are talking to people right now as we're speaking. So we'll just have to wait and see in the next couple minutes and see what happens. Denver might even be a late possibility as well.
We'll have more on that first pick in just a couple of moments.
How about that?
Well,
Paul's Denver might be a possibility.
Good
job, Howard.
I think was it DeBerg was the quarterback with Denver at the time?
DeBerg.
He was on his getting long in the tooth, so to speak. But he's caught. They're looking overall. But how about the Patriots? A 1 and a 2 the first year, 1 and 2 the second year. How do you turn that down if you're the Colts? 2 years in a row, you're going to get the 1 and the 2 from the New England Patriots.
Another clip that we have, very interesting because you're going to hear some conversation about John Elway and George Steinbrenner because you remember Elway's a baseball player too.
Billy Ray Smith selected by the San Diego Chargers. Let's go to Greg Wyatt and get an update on what's transpiring on the West Coast as we continue our coverage of the 1983 National Football League Collegiate Draft.
George, it's very interesting. The John Elway Bowl has turned into a George Steinbrenner Bowl. And believe it or not, just a few picks into the National Football League draft, George Steinbrenner has made his mark in the National Football League because Marvin Demoff, the agent for Elway, has just told me via the telephone that John Elway has chosen baseball since the Baltimore Colts picked him. So John Elway will make the announcement at 2 p.m. our time, which is 5 o'clock Eastern time, at the Hyatt in San Jose, California, which is right near his home. So John Elway has chosen the Yankees over the National Football League, and that is it from here in Los Angeles.
It's the 1983 draft. That was the first televised draft here on a Throwback Thursday as we get you ready for tonight's draft. I just think that stuff's awesome because this draft sucks this year. Let's just be honest. Unless we see 10 trades
to make it interesting.
Yeah. There's just not a lot of sizzle right now. That was awesome.
That was great.
Imagine if we had that today where a player doesn't want to go to the team that's going to pick him, which we've seen with Eli Manning and everything like that.
Yeah.
But ends up getting involved with George Steinbrenner.
Well, and then during the draft,
he was a really good baseball player.
Well, he was outstanding baseball players. But when that came down, you went, no, Elway wouldn't go play for the Yankees, would he? I mean, he's a phenomenal quarterback. He's going to be one of the top picks. He would go play baseball.
How could he have gone to the Yankees?
Well, he could sign a contract. And he could
just like Kyler Murray signed with the Oakland A's.
But he was drafted by the Oakland A's.
Right.
Yeah.
But did the Yankees at the time have the first round pick?
Well, that's
I
a good
don't
question,
know.
Rock. I mean, they might have intervened and
rules may have been different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because the draft usually wasn't until June, Major League Baseball draft till June.
Yeah.
So something like that in April that he's stepping in and making an offer, signing. But that whole thing was like, wow, if this kind of a player can have that kind of clout over a draft, and you heard Howard talking about there was a lot of things churning prior to that that'd love to have him. The rub was just his dad and Frank Kush. That was more the rub, Jack Elway and Frank. But on top of that, for a lot of us, I was in the USFL. I was with the Wranglers in '83 during that time. For a lot of us guys trying to fight to get back into the league, even though we're in the USFL, it was like, wow, John, how are you trying to dictate? But he did it.
So who was the second pick that year?
He's
the quarterback.
Was it O'Brien?
Was it Todd Blackledge?
Out of Penn State.
Yeah.
Went to the Chiefs.
Then it was
he
Eagles at
out.
the third pick at Mississippi State's Michael Haddix.
Well, isn't 83 considered to this day still one of the greatest quarterback drafts in all time? Jim Kelly was
O'Brien.
there. Yeah.
Marino.
Yeah.
Blackledge. Elway.
Yeah.
And you remember Kelly went to the Houston Gamblers.
He did.
O'Brien went to the Jets, as I recollect. Blackledge to the Chiefs.
Right.
Elway eventually coming back to Denver. And then
I stand corrected.
And Marino to the Miami Dolphins.
Stand corrected. It was Todd Blackledge was the second quarterback.
1 minute.
Okay.
Then
not the number
then
2
Jim
pick.
Elway. Then Ken O'Brien.
Yeah.
Dan Marino, which he fell to 27.
Right.
Who else do we have here? That was really it.
Can you
First
say that
couple
again?
Picks.
Yeah.
Dan Marino fell
So that
to
year,
27.
just so you know, that year went John Elway, Eric Dickerson, Kurt Warner, the running back from Penn State.
Yeah.
Chris Hinton, the offensive lineman, who was phenomenal.
Great.
Billy Ray Smith, Jim Covert, Todd Blackledge, Michael Haddix, Bruce Matthews. We have going down on this.
Great
James
player.
Jones,
Great draft.
the fullback. Tony Eason was right after.
Oh, there he
Kelly.
is. Yes.
Mike Pitts, Willie Galt.
Yep.
Who else? Big names here. Jeff Coate, Ken O'Brien, Dave Remington, the great
Nebraska
center
from
from
Nebraska,
Dan
yeah.
O'Brien, Darrell Green.
Wow.
Vernon Maxwell from ASU. He went to the Colts. He went to go play for Cush. Who else here? I'm just going through the first 2 rounds. Wes Hopkins, Leonard Marshall, Darryl Talley, Ron Brown, Kevin Bostic. I mean, I can go on and on, but what a great draft. Hopefully we'll be able to say that this year.
Well,
the
one thing about Marino, that whole thing, the rumors of his pot smoking.
I remember that.
Pot smoking.
Yep.
So a lot of teams weren't comfortable because Marino's like, wait a second. And he later talks about that, is that he felt he was so much better than those guys, but it was about the pots, those rumors that were out there. That's why he dropped to number 20. And Shula's like, Marino's still available? grab him.
Yeah.
Rest is history.
Howard Balzer, the gentleman you just heard in that clip from 1983, he is going to join us next. But first, here's Jax with a Twin Peaks ESPN 620 updates.
It's now time for your Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B's Twin Peaks ESPN 620 update. I'm Jackson Groff. The 2025 NFL Draft kicks off in just about an hour and a half local time. The Arizona Cardinals hold the 16th overall pick, the same spot they selected Zaven Collins back in 2021. The Arizona Cardinals look to address needs of the offensive line, defensive line, edge rusher, or wide receiver positions. With that selection, draft experts, including Daniel Jeremiah, Peter Schrager, and Charles Davis, mocked the Arizona Cardinals picking wide receiver Mekhi Buka, defensive back Jahdae Barron, and offensive tackle Josh Simmons. Plenty of options, tons of unpredictability. That's why tonight's first round is must-listen radio. Catch all tonight's action on 98.7 FM and ArizonaSports.com. NFL Draft, NBA playoffs, and NHL playoffs all at Twin Peaks, the best place for all things hoops and puck. That's Twin Peaks Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views. Howard Balzer joins the guys next.
He's been covering the National Football League for close to 50 years. A longtime NFL writer, broadcaster, and co-host of the Pro Football Hall of Fame show on Sirius XM. A Hall of Fame voter, Howard Balzer. Now on Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B on ESPN 620.
And get the pick now that Chicago is supposed to be taking, or San Diego remains in the picture. They still have 2 number 1 picks left, perhaps New England. It wouldn't be surprising to see the Colts, with the squeeze being put on them, then turn around and trade always rights to someone else and let them worry about it, but someone else other than the Raiders. So there's still a lot of intrigue left in this whole situation.
That's Howard Balzer.
Yep.
1983 NFL Draft as we get ready for the 2025 NFL Draft. Howard, you're just what? You're in your what? Late 30s? Early 40s?
At the time.
You're being very kind. You're being very kind. And it's interesting that soundbite there when I mentioned, about the Colts, that was all about John Elway, obviously. And one of my great mock drafts of all time was in the Sporting News that year, where I projected that the Colts and the Broncos would flip picks in the first round, and the Colts were picking fourth, and that the Broncos would obviously take John Elway. The Colts would take an offensive lineman, Chris Hinton, and that's what I had in the mock draft. And I mentioned about flipping that. It happened a week later. It didn't happen during the day of the draft. So by the time that trade happened a week after the draft, no one remembered that I had predicted it in the Sporting News. And so that's pretty memorable. But it's always cool when they bring that 30 by 30 back each year and people start sending me screenshots and all that. It's funny you mentioned about being 30, in my 30s now. But I remember when that show came out the first time, I think it was 2013, and it was on the 30th anniversary of it. I remember being on a radio show, and the host said to me, "Yeah, I saw you there." And he says, "Man, you looked a lot younger then." I said, "Well, no, no kidding. It was 30 years ago. What do you think?"
Hey, we were just talking about, we played the conversation in the draft about John Elway and then George Steinbrenner with the Yankees. Did the Yankees have the first pick to be able to get John Elway? How did that work out back then?
Before the MLB draft.
Because that was April.
And he actually played. I'm not sure how they got him, whether they picked him late or whatever the situation was. But he actually played minor league baseball, I believe, for one summer.
He did.
In the Yankees organization, if I remember correctly. And so he was, trying to make the case that, well, if he didn't like where he was going to end up, he'd go play baseball. And so, and the other part of the crazy story, Robert Irsay was the owner of the Colts then, and we knew what a, kind of nutcase he was. And Ernie Accorsi was a very good talent evaluator, very good general manager. He was the general manager of the Colts. And Robert Irsay made the trade with Denver the week after the draft. And at that point, Accorsi said, "No point in me being the general manager if they do this stuff without me knowing about it."
Yep.
And he ended up leaving the organization. And so, an interesting side story to that is that Ernie, Mel Kiper knew Ernie Accorsi at the time. Mel hadn't been on ESPN yet, but Ernie knew the stuff he was doing and, putting out his book and evaluating players. And Accorsi actually offered him a job with the Colts. And he was thinking of taking it. And then, of course, he called him one day and said, "Hey, I'm not bringing you on because I think there's a good chance this team's going to move and leave Baltimore. And I don't want to offer you a job and then you have to be uprooted and all those things. So I don't want to do that to you." And there's no guarantee. And of course, he wondered whether, how long he would end up being with the organization. And so we know what happened. So that didn't happen there. And of course, Mel obviously has carved out the tremendous role that he has with ESPN for all these years. He was on the first time on the draft in 1984, and I started on the first one, which was 45 years ago in 1980, and did it for 9 years.
Howard, it's interesting because when you think of guys dictating where they want to go or not go, I can remember our draft in Buffalo. My draft in '79. Tom Cousineau was our first pick. He didn't want to come to Buffalo, so he went to Montreal for a couple of years. Then you see this whole Elway thing dictating, I don't want to go there. Then you see Eli Manning pretty much gets drafted and gets traded. It's rare these happen, but was the Elway situation one of the first of its kind where they let them know way up front they didn't want to go there, aside from Eli Manning maybe several years later?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the first I remember. And that Cousineau one, as I recall, the CFL was making some other inroads too, and Cousineau wasn't the only guy who signed up there back in those late 80s or late 70s, maybe early 80s. That didn't last very long, but the CFL was coming after players. And then let's remember, too, in that 83 draft is when the USFL was beginning to form, and they ended up, getting a bunch of players that were going into the NFL draft, and it really affected a lot of NFL teams. And, with guys like, Steve Young going to the USFL and some other, potentially high, Anthony Carter, the wide receiver from Michigan. So, but there hasn't been that many instances of it because most players realize they just don't have the leverage to do that. But Elway did, Manning did, and there was a lot of rumors this year that, Deion Sanders was going to do that with Shador, with his son Shador. But I think he realized that, there's been a lot of weird stuff going on with Shador, but he, as good as I think he's capable of being, he's not one of those surefire guys that you're going to take early in the draft, like a John Elway or like an Eli Manning.
Howard Balzer's our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. Howard, back then when you began, there was no fancy computers, no X or Twitter, none of that. You guys actually had to do some real homework. So just take a moment and explain about all the phone calls that you had to do just to get insight on some of these players so you knew what to talk about on television.
No, it's a great point, a great question, because you're right. There wasn't the internet. There wasn't all these areas to get information. And
three more minutes.
And, the interesting thing with that first draft on ESPN, they had just gone on the air the previous September. And so they weren't televising college football yet. And so there wasn't highlights for the show, but there wasn't that much college football on TV as there is now. So there just wasn't as much available. But, you had to work a little bit. You had to work at it, obviously, to find out about a lot of these guys. But, certainly not the way it is today with all the, clips that you can find on YouTube and all the info and all the stats and, and all those things. Yeah, it was a totally different world back then. And it did take, a lot of work to, and in the first few years, we didn't, at ESPN, they didn't do the whole draft, right? I mean, I think the most it ever was into the second round. And so you knew you could kind of concentrate.
2 more minutes.
The line guys. And those were relatively, well known at the time. But, certainly, and I wasn't Mel Kiper or Joel Bucksbaum or those guys. I mean, what they were able to do in that time with all the phone calls they had to make to do draft books and come up with scouting reports. And, they would try to get teams to send them tape and all those things. So, yeah, it was a whole different world back then than the way it is now, obviously.
Howard, do you expect a lot of trades today and tomorrow? Well, that's not tomorrow, but today, do you expect some moves? Because it's been the lack of sizzle is what Jimmy and I keep saying today, this draft. Not a lot of marquee players.
No, you're right about that. And I think that's there's not – I mean, you never know what's going to happen with trades. And certainly a lot will depend on teams being in a position of feeling there's a guy they got to have. Okay, we got to
about 1 minute,
whatever it might be, because there's a player that we want. But a lot of people believe, because even though there's not a lot of sizzle, a lot of marquee guys, like you said, there's still a lot of good players in this draft, and a lot of them are rated very closely together. Like, after Genty at Boise State, there's a lot of good running backs. There's not a top 3 at wide receiver this year like there was last year with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze, but there's a pretty good group of receivers that mirror what happened last year from 23 to 37 in the draft, when there were 7 receivers that went in that that number of picks. So with so many guys being close together, I would think that the draft boards around the league will reflect that. And so a team has to make a decision. Well, yeah, we could trade up and get a guy that we really like, but if we let the draft come to us, we're still going to get a guy we really like, and then we don't have to give up a second or a third round pick.
Sort of wrap whenever you're ready.
So I think that's going to be intriguing to see how this first round plays out, because it's possible there won't be very many, because teams will just look at it that way, like I said, and whatever positions they're looking at or whatever top players, they know they'll get a pretty good one. And, I remember guys, Gil Brandt once told me, and this is pretty much true almost every year, but from the middle of the first round to the middle of the second round, there's not that much difference in players. This year, you might make the argument that from the 10th pick or even higher than that going into the second round, there's not that much difference. And so that's what's going to make it very interesting to see the order in which players go off the board. And from the Cardinals standpoint, let's remember, if you're picking 16 last year, for example, 6 quarterbacks go in the first 12. So that means it's leaving other players at other positions for those teams that are in the middle of the round. This year, it looks like there'll only be 1 quarterback in the top 6, in the top 15 before the Cardinals pick, and Sanders could sneak in there. That's probably the only other guy, and so that's going to diminish the players that are available for some teams. So so there's still the opportunity to trade up, but in terms of trading down, which a lot of people think the Cardinals should do, like I said, it all depends if there's some team that really feels compelled to trade up. And I think that's essentially what's going to drive how many trades there are. And here's a crazy stat, is that this is the first year in the modern era of the draft, the common draft going back to 1970, that every team right now at this moment owns their own first-round pick. There haven't been any trades of first-round picks at all. And I don't think there's any reason for that. It's just the way it happened to work out. But it hasn't happened in the past, and we'll see how many deals go down today, this evening in the first round.
Howard, thank you as always, man. Have a good draft weekend.
All right, look forward to it, guys. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week.
That's Howard Balzer joining us. You can follow him on X, HBalzer721. And today he's brought to you by All City Towing. Join the team with the largest towing company in the state. Of course, that is All City Towing, and they are hiring dispatchers, call takers, lot attendants, drivers, customer service personnel. You got great benefits, employer-paid life insurance, monthly fuel allowance. So if you're ready to take your career to the next level, then visit them online at allcitytowing.com. And that's All City Towing, where your future is on the move. Adam Schefter, you're going to hear from him on our Learner Row 1 call, talking about how quiet it is for this 2025 NFL draft. It's Roc and Manuch with Jimmy B from Twin Peaks Glendale.
I was in a wreck.
The Lerner and Rowe one call, that's all call of the day. If you're looking for a full service law firm, just make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900. Lerner and Rowe, voted Arizona's best law firm.
We'll probably get some action tomorrow night at some point in the draft. But right now, it's been quiet. It continues to be quiet. That's partly because of the quarterback draft class that is not as good as other years. It's partly because teams value the players in the second and third round in this draft. We may see a move for a pick at 2 or 3, but right now it has been quiet there.
It's ESPN's Adam Schefter last night talking about how quiet it is with this draft, which I would agree. Interact, need a check, make one call, that's all. 602-977-1900 and always at lernerandrowe.com. So here's the plan here. When we are done at 4 o'clock, you're going to want to jump over to Arizona Sports 98.7 and the Arizona Sports NFL Draft Extravaganza. That will go on till 6 o'clock, leading up to Diamondbacks Rays. Then you jump back over here to ESPN 620 and 98.7 HD2, and you can continue to hear Arizona Sports' NFL Draft Extravaganza coverage, which will go till about 9:30. If you're not into the draft, you got Rays and D-backs at 6:40. It's on D-backs TV. NBA playoffs tonight. You got 3 round 3 games. Knicks at Pistons, which starts at 4. Thunder at Grizzlies. Nuggets at Clippers, 6:30 and 7 o'clock there. A lot of NHL playoffs as well. Panthers at Lightning. Maple Leafs at Senators. Golden Knights at Wild. And Jets at Blues. And that the Panthers and Lightning just underway. Maple Leafs and Senators at 4 o'clock, and the other is in the 6 o'clock window. So you got a lot there. What do you got to say, Jimmy?
Disappointing and depressing that we are watching the first round of the NBA playoffs, and there's no Phoenix Suns team in there.
And we're watching the first round of the NHL playoffs, and we don't have a team.
That's correct.
That could participate.
Even worse.
It's a double whammy.
It is a double.
What do you do with yourself? Have that one drink?
No, I try to slam.
This thing about the draft, it's interesting.
Why would you say that when you say to us on a consistent,
I ignored him.
A consistent basis, Jimmy?
Yeah.
That I only need 1 or 2. So what do you mean you slam? You try to be like you're cool and you're not.
I am very cool.
But why would you say that?
I'm one of the coolest guys that has
made
walked
it sound
in
like
this
you're
building.
like this big boozer. But then other days you'll be like, I only need 1.
I said
I'm good.
one. That's it.
So you slam the 1
slammed
and then
the
you
one.
call Uber.
That's it.
All right.
And
Well, at Sun Lakes, you just call a cart, right?
or I'd call his neighbor. Hey,
will you bring my bicycle over
golf
here?
cart over and pick me up.
It's interesting that I think it's kind of, we're always so used to drama and something happening in an NFL draft, right?
Yep.
Shedeur Sanders clearly is the bell cow of this entire draft. Where is he going to go? Is he going to drop? But that's it. And you know what? I don't mind it, but this might be the most vanilla draft.
That's
good.
You nailed it. Good job. You get a little smiley face put on your refrigerator.
Yeah, get a gold star. But
that's vanilla. Very vanilla.
Because think of it, the hot commodities are defensive linemen, offensive linemen.
Yep.
Edge rushers. And then it might go to linebackers. Then you got
and defensive backs.
Yeah, and then but running backs are back in the fold.
They're back in vogue.
They're back in vogue. Go a lot higher than we think.
Yeah, you might have your
fifth pick.
Yeah.
Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Jacksonville seems like the team that's getting a lot of talk, a lot of run.
Yep.
And then it's okay. What 2 or 3 quarterbacks, if there's 3, go in the first round? Who goes in the second round?
Where do you think your boy Tyler Shuck is going to go? Do you got
a
feel at all?
I think it might go. I'm going to say upper to mid second round.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that Pittsburgh has looked at Shedeur Sanders and Tyler.
Okay.
They got, as they know, they just got Rudolph's the only guy they got, but he's being looked at from that standpoint.
And Skylar Thompson.
And Skylar Thompson, yeah. Former K-State.
So in other words, they don't have a quarterback.
They really, Skylar's got some experience, but Rudolph
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
But so there's those guys that have that, and you just hope that I'd love to see Tyler go in the first round, if not second round.
Quinn Ewers and Dylan Gabriel. I mean, there's quarterbacks that are getting in a lot of play.
Don't get me wrong.
Right? I mean, there's some good quarterbacks there.
But I think a lot of
Howard isn't bad.
Yeah,
Howard's not bad.
Yeah, I feel not the type of quarterbacks we looked at over the last year, but they're all solid guys. But what they're looking at now, if you're going to get picked in the first, second, or third round as a quarterback, they're looking at a guy that could be quickly your potential starter.
Mm-hmm.
So they might hold off. Say, okay, well, we got the veteran quarterback. We'll take a Will Howard. Maybe if the Giants go to Abdul Carter, they get him. Then maybe we got two guys, Jameis and Russell.
Will Howard might be a late second rounder.
You could see a young guy like that going.
Okay.
Yeah. So David Carr on NFL Network right now, he's putting his top 5 together, and he's got Cam Ward, Sanders, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, and Kyle McCord. Then he goes
4 minutes.
Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard, Tyler Shook on the bottom.
Yeah.
Is that because the teams that he played for? I mean, Tyler Shook played for some pretty good damn teams.
I
think know Louisville's not Texas, not Ohio State.
I don't agree with it, but now the only thing I can think of is 26, and that's I think is a plus. He's
think it's a plus?
Yeah. He's broken it. Yeah, in my opinion, he's broken his left collarbone twice and fibula. So there could be that, but I just think all the reps, all the success he's had, and all the things he's done more so than the darts and this guy. Look, they're all talented individuals.
Oh yeah.
So I think when a guy ranks him, who knows what he's thinking about? Who knows where he's at with this? But I always look at what general managers have said about Bo Nix last year. Bo Nix getting picked.
He's 24.
We love his experience.
Yeah.
We love his age. Brock came out as Mr. Relevant. We love his reps. He wasn't the old guy, but he loved his reps. So there's different philosophies with a lot of these guys. And Tyler's come up. But Dart's a good quarterback.
He is a good quarterback.
Those 4 or 5 QBs are all very capable of going to the NFL having success.
All right, let's get to our State 48 Roofing. Get your call question of the day. We have 2 of them. State 48 Roofing, your number 1 referred roofer in Arizona. You can follow them on all your social media platforms. Just search #SexyRoofStatus or go to their website, state48roofing.com. All right, first question. Best ever 6th-round pick or higher not called Tom Brady. Your 4 choices are Antonio Brown, Terrell Davis, Mark Schlereth, or Brock Purdy. And the results, Manuch, who's number 1?
Number 1 is there's a tie between Terrell Davis and Mark Schlereth at 33.3%, and a tie for second with Antonio Brown and Brock Purdy at 16.7%.
All right, our other question was how many trades do you predict in the first round of the NFL draft? Is it 0, 1 to 3, 4 to 5, or 6 or more?
I got 1 to 3 as the leader in the clubhouse, 72.2%.
2 minutes.
Wow.
0, 5.6. 4 to 5. Isn't that where you were, Rock? 4 to 5?
Yep.
16.7%. 6 or more, 5.6%.
I went also 4 to 5. I think that as these things start moving forward, you might see some trade.
But we're not going to count. We are not going to count the Texans and the Browns
when
because
the clock starts.
Okay.
Clock starts.
So we're not starting. We're not counting.
But a lot of these are already pretty much agreed upon.
Yeah.
So once the clock starts and you get on that clock, because I was listening to it, because a lot of us think that, hey, oh man, they're on the clock. They got to hurry up and make a trade. These are already done.
Sure.
You only got 10 minutes? Was it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, to make that? They're already an inkling. There's already some things being called, because I guarantee you there's phones ringing all over the place.
All right,
GMs.
if you're looking for a great place to watch the draft with the sound, Twin Peaks, 5 Valley locations.
1 minute. 1 minute.
You're heading down to State Farm, stop into the Westgate Glendale location, take advantage of happy hour from 3 to 6, and again, reverse happy hour from 10 to midnight, all 5 Valley locations. Tomorrow, Manuch.
Yeah, right, Toyota. Jackson, I'll be holding down the fort for you, Rock. Eric Williams, talking about the NFC West. Jake Plummer will join us talking about the Cardinals. Scott Spreitzel, handicapping, and Rob Fredrickson, more draft talking the Cardinals.
Did we have Rob on earlier this week?
No. We had
30
last
seconds.
week.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
You're lazy in your old age.
No, he's part of the Cardinals broadcast. Got to get a response.
Jake loves the media. What's the
He
deal?
does, man. He loves coming out with
He
Rock
calls
and Manuch.
you, right?
He reaches
He's
out
like,
to
"Can I
me.
call you guys?"
Damn right.
Man, you couldn't get him to come on when he was a player.
Oh, how